Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm, and you are watching first part of What If Kid Naruto Was Saved by Fem-Kyuubi. If you enjoy this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Naruto is not your average 4-year-old. He belongs to the strongest Biju in the elemental nations and is a Jinchuriki. He has no idea why he is being attacked or what the villagers are trying to do. He is still unaware of what is about to occur. Naruto was fleeing a mob as usual. He was having trouble breathing, and this one was the largest yet. He soon lost them, some of them intoxicated. But the ninja on him was a different matter. He was getting out of breath, and they were following him. When he eventually found a hiding spot, he heard someone speaking. Naruto almost jumped out of his skin when he heard the words, "Hey, Naruto. You want them off your tail?" He most certainly would have if he hadn't been hiding. "Relax, kid. I'm not going to hurt you. In fact, I'm willing to help you out. Just think what you want to say to me." "All right, then. Who are you?" "Right now, that's not important. However, if you are willing to trust me on this, I will get you out of this situation. I may have to kill a few of them, but if that happens, it's because there is little chance of doing so otherwise," the voice continued. "I don't see why I shouldn't if you can get these guys off my back for a while. But I will blame you if I die. I don't intend on letting you die, which is the only reason I'm offering. However, I'll try not to kill them. If you could, calm your nerves, and close your eyes. This may hurt a bit." Naruto felt a slight sting in his body and mind as he closed his eyes. His eyes were not his usual cerulean orbs when they opened. They had black slits and were now red. "I appreciate you doing this. I sincerely hope I don't let you down." With greater speed than before, Naruto leapt out. He ignored the fact that the villagers had noticed him. He was not familiar with the area. They refused to follow them in one particular location. He arrived at a fence-lined forest. The only people who knew anything about the location Naruto had entered stopped outside the fence after he leapt over it. One of them said, "You think he could survive in there?" One more person said, "Somehow, I doubt it." A third person said, "Good riddance." With Naruto after discovering a clearing, Naruto pondered his location. He closed his eyes and inhaled deeply before saying, "Okay, kid. You're safe here, for the time being. I'll switch back with you, and give you a few instructions so we can meet." His eyes were blue again when he opened them. "All right, what must I do?" Naruto questioned the strange voice. "Sit down, cross-legged. Relax all your muscles and thoughts. Clear your head of everything. Once you have done that, you may find yourself in a different place. When you do, I will give you the rest of the directions." "All right." Naruto sat down and followed instructions, saying, "You better not be wasting my time with this." The forest gave way to a sewer in a matter of seconds. "Whoa, where am I?" "I see you made it. Walk down the corridor until you find a cage. From there, we will talk." Naruto nodded, assuming the man had heard it. As he began to move, he came upon a cage with the kanji for seal on it in a room without a clear ceiling. "All right, so who are you? And why am I looking at you right now?" "Hey, I'm surprised you actually listened to me thus far. In any case, I'm glad. You may know me as the Kyuubi no Yoko. I know you may not trust me after what happened, but at least let me explain the situation before you judge," the Kyuubi responded. "Whoa. I didn't see that coming. Okay, I'll listen to what you have to say. After all, you did get me out of there without so much as a scratch, to me, or them," replied Naruto. "Thank you. For starters, I wasn't myself on the day that I attacked. I was under control of some genjutsu from a Sharingan. A powerful one at that. However, the one who placed it was supposed to be dead." Naruto questioned, "What do you mean?" "Well, he was alive over 100 years ago, when your village was founded. But that's not the point. The genjutsu he placed on me was enough to enhance my bloodlust to levels far beyond my own control. I lost any sense of reason while under that accursed jutsu, and I couldn't reverse it. I was able to hold it back for about 10 seconds, in order to tell your Yondaime Hokage to stop me whatever the cost. With no time left, he sealed me into you. However, his last words to you surprised me." Naruto tilted his head and asked, "What do you mean?" "The last things he said was this. I only hope the village treats you as a hero, my son, even though I doubt they will. Study hard, eat right, and try not to go berserk like your mother. She should be around to help you." The Kyuubi took a moment to take it in. "Well, if you didn't notice, I don't know who my mother was. I've been an orphan all my life. At least now I know that my father saved the village from an out-of-control beast with no choice in the matter. I realized that. I took a look into your memories. That's why, I intend to help you. I will teach you what I know, and since I am currently sealed within you, you can use my Yuki as your chakra. Do you know what that is? Naruto gave a headshake. The old man said he would teach me a few things later on in life. Still, he never told me that my own father sealed you into me. I see why he did it though. Why would he do that to someone else's child, when he wouldn't do so to his own first? Well, I can tell you more about your father than your mother. I only know your mother's name. After a bit of your training, ask that Hokage of yours about the Red Death, Kushina Uzumaki. She is supposed to be your mother, and as far as I know, alive. I would know whether I killed her or not, regardless of the state I was in. I was watching everything happen, without any way to stop myself. For that I'm sorry. I know that you probably can't forgive me for any of that. Then Naruto interrupted, I forgive you, but I hope. Wait, you actually forgive me for this? Why shouldn't I? If this guy really influenced you with some genjutsu, why wouldn't I forgive you? I mean, it's not like you had much of a choice in the matter. You were probably caught off guard. And the Kyuubi began to cry. Is that a tear? Why would you cry at a time like this? Replied Naruto. I'm just happy. I didn't think anyone would understand that I could be nice, especially after that little incident with Madara. The fox in front of him nodded and asked, Madara? Madara Uchiha. He was the leader of the Uchiha clan way back when. Supposedly, he died after trying to attack Hashirama Senju, the Shodai Hokage. He was reported to be killed. The events leading up to my sealing into you proves that false. He is still very much alive. How, I don't know. In any case, I believe that you and I together can stop him. Naruto questioned, what makes you say that? Because, I'm going to train you in the ways of a ninja. On my behalf, and that of your entire village, you will be the one to defeat him. The combined might between your impressive stamina, and my massive amounts of Yuki, we can be a more powerful warrior together than most Chunin are by the time 3 years go by. Sweet! Exclaimed Naruto. Don't get so hasty. I may be training you, but I won't go easy on you. You don't have that luxury. With the village in constant hate for you, you have to train in ways that would normally kill someone your age. However, the amount of chakra you possess is more than the average Chunin, without resorting to my Yuki. Your control with it will pretty much be fucked up, so the first thing you're going to work on is chakra control. At the same time, you will be learning about shinobi life, customs, blah blah blah. The information might not seem important, however, as a ninja, information is key. Information is key. So you're saying that without the right information, you could fail at almost anything, maybe lose your life if you make a mistake in the wrong situation? Replied Naruto. You catch on quick for someone your age. I will be teaching you everything you could possibly learn, and also that you will need to know. In addition, the seal weakens with your rage, so you will also have to meditate. After you have a little control over your chakra, I will teach you something that will help you progress faster. Until then, you will focus on basic knowledge, meditation, and chakra control. Remember, the jutsu I will be teaching you at that point is counted as forbidden by your Hokage. I will go into more depth on it when the time comes. Naruto gave a nod. Okay, so the forest we're in. Why is this a safe place? In truth, it's not that safe of a place, but I know the villagers and the majority of ninja don't go in here if they don't have to. I see. This forest has a reputation. Do you know what kind of representative it has? It's called the Forest of Death because the animals of the forest tend to kill anyone that gets too close. That makes sense. This is a safe place for me to be. I doubt most of them will attack me with you inside of me, so we're good for the time being. I mean, you are powerful. Yet another reason I chose this place. The forest happens to be my home territory. This is known as the Forest of Death, but as long as I'm within you, they will not attack you. At least, they shouldn't. Now, I will explain one more thing before we finish up here. You will be in here for a few days, working on meditation. The reason being, is that it increases awareness, and also helps you gain more rest than you'd get in a bed. Okay, anything else I should know? Meditation is how you got in here in the first place. If you want a better mindscape to look at, you can change it. Just, if you do. You mind changing this area? It gets cramped in here, and it is somewhat stuffy. Naruto laughed. I already have an idea for that. You could say I've been wanting to change that sewer from the moment I got here, but didn't think I could. Good to know that I can. It makes me feel like my mind is in the gutter. Well then, I'm glad. The Kyuubi said, okay then, close your eyes for a second. Naruto also closed his. It no longer appeared to be a sewer when Naruto opened his eyes. There was a forest on one side of the meadow where he was. And a cottage. Okay. You can open them up, now. The Kyuubi looked around after doing so. Wow, you did a nice job. Is that a cottage? Sure is. I put a forest over there so you can feel somewhat at home. By the way, is there another form that you have? I don't think you'd fit in the cottage like that, Naruto replied. The fox began to glow red and said, you know what? I'm starting to like you, Naruto-kun. I suppose showing you my human form will be okay. There was a girl there when the glow subsided. Naruto gazed at the young woman. There was no woman in front of him. Her eyes were blood red, her hair was red, and she was perfectly tanned. Her breasts had a fantastic C-cup shape. Her skin appeared to be composed of silk or a softer substance. Her figure was absolutely perfect, and her lips were full. Naruto believed that clothing was the one item lacking. She had no clothes on. You like what you see? Naruto was incredulous. He shook his head, saying, Wah. Sorry, I just didn't see that coming. One question. Could you put some clothes on? I don't think I need to see some of what I just saw. Too young or something. The female laughed. Nice, even to someone like me. Considerate, as well. Unless, you're not. What she was going to ask was immediately apparent to Naruto. Oh hell no, I am, by no means, like that. I just have more respect for women than I do myself. She said, well then, I think I will indulge that little request. Suddenly, she was wearing a blood-red kimono, and over her chest was what appeared to be a demon-like version of herself. The kanji for Queen of the Forests was written on the reverse of it. Other foxes were scattered throughout the kimono. Nodding, Naruto asked, better. This is a lot better. This way, I don't get distracted while trying to learn. Then Kyuubi burst out laughing. Clueless, aren't you? Pardon? Nothing. Anyway, you remember the pose you sat in to get here? A smile. Get into that pose in here as well. Concentration and a clear mind are key here. It will help you stay in control over your emotions. The point of meditating is to gain control of my emotions, but what is the real cause of me going through this? When you lose your temper, you get more reckless, and can fall victim to more losses. The possibility of losing your life is also there, especially in a life or death fight. Your life has been that way every day so far. This will help you out, in more ways than one. Naruto sat down and tried to focus, saying, okay, I understand. He remained that way for 3 hours before becoming tense. He opened his eyes and said, I'm picking something up outside. Someone else is in the forest. It seems like snakes. I sense it, too. Shall I go? No, I want to see who it is myself. You said that few people ever come in here and leave. This person seems oddly at peace with the fact she's in the forest. If I had to guess, she's a frequent visitor. Naruto replied. Kyuubi gave a nod. Just know that if it comes to a fight, I'll be helping you out. Before leaving the mindscape, Naruto said, I know. I don't have any fighting experience just yet. Outside. With fire blazing in his cerulean orbs, Naruto opened his eyes. Alright, they seem to be in that direction. Naruto leapt up onto a tree branch and continued on, moving more like a fox and leaping from one branch to another. He quickly located the other individual in the forest. She was so taken aback by him approaching that she was preparing to attack him. Naruto asked, Hey, are you a regular visitor here? The woman appeared to be trying to woo someone. Who are you? Why are you in here? It's dangerous. When your life is in danger 24/7 in the village, this place is probably better. Naruto stated to her. What's your name, anyway? Anko let her guard down a little. Anko Midarashi. What about you? Naruto. I won't give a surname, because I don't know if it's the real one or not. Anko inquired, are you an orphan, or something? I know you didn't kill one of them, and neither of us knows if the other is still alive, so don't say anything about it. Yeah, my parents both died by the Kyuubi. Anyway, the village seems to hate me, and I like the forest. I came in here, and it seems that no one bothers to come in here. Well then, you should probably head back to the orphanage. They're probably war. Okay, on second thought, I don't think it's a good idea. If the village hates you, then you may have been kicked out of the orphanage. Well, I was kicked out sometime last month. Anyway, I was thinking of staying here until things settle down in the village. They might forget about me in a few days, so I'll be staying in here for that time. Probably work on ninja skills while I am. Naruto replied. Anko was somewhat taken aback. How old are you, Naruto? 4, why? Answered Naruto. With a slightly dejected tone, Anko remarked. Well, if you're hated by the village, then by all means stick around. I have no problems hanging around someone else the village hates. When Naruto saw this, he turned to face her. Hey, there's a clearing just ahead. We could go over there. I may only be 4 years old, but given what I already know, my chakra control sucks. You think you can help with that? Anko gave him a startled look. You would want me to help you? Why not? It's not like anyone will miss us for being in here. We could find out a few things about each other while we're at it. Naruto replied with a grin. Anko gave him a look. Alright then, let's go. I'll help you with what I know, and chakra control exercises. Then again, since you're only 4, I doubt you know much about chakra in the first place. I have somewhat basic knowledge of it. How else would I know that my control sucks? Much less why it sucks, said Naruto. Anko gave a nod. Just before Naruto turned around, Anko said, I got you. Let's get over there, and I'll help. With Anko at his heels, Naruto leapt off in the direction of the clearing, saying, It's over here. Let's go. The Kyuubi's voice reached his ears. Hey, why are you letting her train you in control? Because she is able to track my development in real time. Besides, she's kind of like me. Her eyes showed it to me. Because of something beyond her control, she is despised in the village. Just like me, but I've accepted my burden. Actually, I feel like I made a friend there. Cute. Anyway, a little advice. During chakra control, you need to keep yourself focused. Meditation also helps in that. Remember that. You got it, Naruto answered. After a minute or so, they both arrived at the clearing. Anko gave him a look. Well, what exercises have you been doing, so far? Anko nodded when Naruto said, I've only been trying meditation. Nothing on chakra control just yet. From what I know, focus is a key element in chakra control. Am I right on that? Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly and said, Quite right. I'm surprised you already know this without doing the exercises once. Anko found a leaf and plucked it, saying, In any case, I think you should start by taking a leaf and keeping it stuck to your forehead. What you want here is to keep it on your forehead, without moving your body to keep the gravity from taking it. Simple version. Inquired Naruto. Stand up straight, and keep it on your forehead at the same time. That's what you have to do, Anko said. After nodding, Naruto gave it a try. It remained on his forehead for a few seconds after he placed it there. It fell immediately thereafter. Well, you have better control than I thought, based on what you said. Tell me, why would your control suck? Large amounts of it. And by large, I mean Hokage Monument large. Naruto replied. Anko simply gazed at him. I did a bit of looking into myself while I was meditating. That's how I know. Anko grinned. Well, when you can do this for a total of 3 minutes straight, that means you've basically completed the exercise, and can move on. I already know of the next 2 exercises, but those will have to wait. Anko replied with a nod. In any case, meditation seems like a good way to learn to focus. Mind if I give it a try? Naruto gave a shrug. I don't see why not. I just sit down, relax all of my thoughts and emotions. Clear my mind, and boom. I got meditation. Anko grinned. He nodded and resumed his efforts to keep the leaf on his forehead. Well then, I'll be starting up with that. See how far it takes me. After meditating for roughly 5 minutes, Anko was fully aware of everything. She could even sense Naruto's chakra levels. She could tell he had more than he claimed to have, but she was unable to see the true nature of most of it. When she learned that, she was taken aback, but she continued to meditate. 2 hours later, for no more than 1 minute and 30.2 seconds, Naruto had held the leaf atop his head. Although he was improving, he was growing impatient. Anko continued to meditate. Naruto decided to take a seat directly beside her and begin his own meditation. Unaware of the consequences, he decided to resume meditation after realizing that becoming impatient was counterproductive. The mindscape of Naruto was in his mindscape now. He instantly recognized Kyuubi. You found yourself getting impatient and started meditating? You're getting better. Before a surprise guest entered, Naruto remarked, I see that. In any case, do you think I should go for it some more in here? Anko discovered herself in a flower-filled, lush field with a cottage and a forest close by. Where am I? The 2 people who were already nearby were drawn to her question. Anko, what are you doing here? Anko turned and saw the red-headed Naruto. Naruto? Who is this? He didn't tell you the reason the village hates him. That reason is me. Anko, I don't know how to say this without you freaking out, but this is the Kyuubi no Yoko. Remember when I said I did a little self-searching? Anko gave him a strange look. She gave a nod. This is what I found. She wanted to help train me, and told me that, due to my massive chakra levels, my control would suck. Naruto stated to her. Anko gave Kyuubi another glance. You do realize it is impolite to stare, right? Sorry. I just didn't expect this. Where am I? This isn't anything like the Forest of Death. This is my mindscape. I'm not sure how it happened, but when I started to meditate, you popped in here. Naruto replied. At least it's not a sewer. True. However, I do have an idea as to why she ended up here. It could be because the two of you are both meditating right next to each other. Naruto questioned, are you sure about that? Not entirely, it's a possibility, but that's about it. Well then, I think it would be a good idea to meditate in here, as well. Naruto replied. Naruto began to meditate in the mindscape, saying, Anko, this is double the focusing experience. At least, I think it is. Anko made the decision to inquire. Hey, if you're the Kyuubi, why are you not trying to take over his mind? The way everyone else portrays you, you're a cold-hearted and mindless beast. Then again, the way I see you right now is nothing like I had heard. I have no intention of taking over his mind. The reason being I have chosen him to help me with my own revenge, since I can't do so myself. Anko stiffened. It's not revenge against the village, if that's what you're thinking. No, I'm grateful that the Yondaime sealed me instead of killing me. The one I want dead is the one to put a powerful genjutsu, that not even I could break free of, on me. Thanks to that bastard, I was forced to attack your village. I was conscious the whole time, but not in control of my own bloodlust. I want that guy dead, and I feel Naruto could help me with that. He couldn't do so as he is now, and that's one reason I wanted to train him. Wait, you wanted to train him? Why? Because, regardless of what he's been through, he doesn't blame the village. He has a strong will. One not even a god can sway. The third reason is because his heart is pure. He has more respect for women than he does himself. At least that's what he told me. And this is when I was completely naked. He actually asked me to put some clothing on. Wow. Didn't think he was like that. Hang on. His surname is Uzumaki, isn't it? Yes, it is. That means that his mother is Kushina Uzumaki. She is one of the last Uzumaki, and the only one to ever step foot in Konoha in my life. My mother was on somewhat good terms with her. Before she died, Anko sighed. Please tell me that I didn't kill her, if I did. No, it wasn't you that killed my mother. She died 2 months beforehand. However, I've been in touch with Kushina. As of now, I'm the only one. If Naruto is her son, then you'd have to work him to the bone on controlling his anger. Especially if he gets pissed off. It's even worse if he inherited his mother's temper. I know. And Uzumaki's temper is as bad, if not worse, than an Akamichi. Even though different things piss them off, when they are pissed off, either you'll end up in the hospital, or a casket. This is in either case. Tell me about it. The only one that could ever calm Kushina down was her friend Minato. I always wondered why the two never married. They probably did, just kept it secret. I doubt you'd be able to tell anyone, but his father is the Yondaime. I know his mother is an Uzumaki, and from what you've said, Kushina Uzumaki is the only possible candidate for his mother. Anko shouted, damn. Can you say score? Kyuubi shouted, score, and Anko turned to face her. They both chuckled. Try and get some meditation done in here. It should help better than just doing so out there. I'll bonk you both on the head before it gets too late to do anything. That way, you can get home before it gets too late, Anko. Thanks. You know, you're not that bad. Definitely, not as bad as people say. Kyuubi was overcome with emotion. Anko sat down and began to meditate in the mindscape, saying, anyway, I'll get to meditation. After 2 hours, they were both hit over the head. Both Anko and Naruto seized the hand that was aimed at them. Nice reflexes. Kyuubi. Sensei, you were the one that said meditation allows you to remain alert and still gain rest, thus increasing awareness. Naruto replied. You know what, kid? I'm thinking of letting you stay at my place. We outcasts gotta stick together, Anko replied. You really mean that? I wouldn't be surprised if she did. Well, I'm serious. I'd have to talk it over with the Hokage first, but I will find a way to get you to live with me. Both of us are hated in the village, and there is strength in numbers. Anko said as Kyuubi nodded. Are you sure about this, Anko? You really want us to live in your own home? Why not? You're a lot nicer than most think. Naruto is also a lot better than most would think. Anko replied. He just needs to be led down the right path, and for that he needs a friend. I'm willing to be that friend. I may not be a Jinchuriki, but I'm not one of those sons of a bitch who would attack someone without a good reason. At this point, I don't see a reason to hurt him. In fact, I can also help with getting him in touch with his mother. Kyuubi and Naruto exchanged glances before turning to face Anko. I'm game. As am I, you know, I could get used to this. I can work on his skills at night, when he's asleep, while you work on them during the day when he's awake. Anko smirked as she said, well, since I'm a chunin right now, I could give you some advice in ninja techniques from time to time, and other places. Don't even think about it. If I find out you did something to him in his sleep, you will be in pain. I didn't intend to go that far. You think I should tell the Hokage some of the things I found out? Please, don't tell him I've started talking with Q-chan just yet. I think that is something to keep to ourselves. Along with the fact he knows who both of his parents are. Those should not be said, especially if a law states that no one is to tell him. There is, on both subjects, and with what happened that night. Don't worry, I won't tell a soul what I've found out here. Just know that if you're in trouble, I'll help out, as long as I'm not eating dango. I zone out when I am, and completely ignore my surroundings. Don't tell anyone I said that, Anko replied. Naruto and Kyuubi both nodded. We'll stay in the forest for the time being. Continue working on chakra control and meditation. Kyuubi added, I'll also be helping out with your studies. By the way, if you need to talk about me outside, call me Akane. That's my actual name. Akane. Unusual name, but what do I know? You're a Yoko. Names are probably different from humans. Actually, I'm a kitsune, and you're not that dumb. You figured it out, quicker than even I thought. Anko simply reddened. I think I should get going. I'll let the Hokage know that Naruto will be staying in here for a few days, and what I plan to do about it all. The living arrangements are something I will take care of myself. Anko replied. I hope I can call you Ni-san real soon. Anko began to glow and walked away. She already figured out how to leave. Seems like it. Anyway, I think it's time I give you a few lessons on your village's history. I know more than most think. Think you can dumb it down a bit? Remember, I'm only 4, Naruto replied. I was planning on it. I don't expect you to get the version that most academy students get. With Anko had approached the tower of the Hokage. Lord Hokage, I have found out where Naruto Uzumaki is. Sarutobi questioned. He went into the Forest of Death, didn't he? Yes, he did. He intends to stay there for a few days. Stay away from the villagers so everything can cool down. Also, I have a little favor to ask, regarding him. Anko began. What would that be? I'd like him to move in with me. Being kicked out of the orphanage is one thing. Being hated by the village is another. This wouldn't be adoption, it would be more of a brother-sister thing, than mother-son. I remember that law that said no one is allowed to adopt him. This should be able to get around it. Anko replied. Sarutobi was somewhat stunned. Do you mind if I ask why? He wants to be a ninja, and is currently in the forest trying to train himself. He told me his reasons, but I promised him I wouldn't say anything on the subject. I intend on keeping that promise. Really, even if I order you to tell me, even then, I don't intend on doing so. That kid has little to no trust for anyone. He already trusted me with that, so I don't intend on betraying that trust, said Anko. Sarutobi grinned. Well then, I would accept this. I'm not even letting the council in on this. They don't need to know. Something like this is paperwork I'd actually enjoy working on. It's worse than hell, but for you to do something like this, I'm glad to do it. Sarutobi dropped his pipe from his mouth as Anko said, also, there are a few more things he told me never to say. However, I may be able to get Kushina back to the village. What do you mean? If Kushina is, in fact, his mother, he has a right to be with her. Also, if she were here, people would think twice about attacking him, in fear of her. Not the smartest tactic, but arguably one of the best. Anko continued. I will say this. His mother is in fact, Kushina Uzumaki. However, no one is to know of his father. The moment he finds out, if he ever does, no one can know until he is a chunin, or Kushina is around. Good to know. In any case, I'll be getting my house ready for him. He's gonna need more than he's got, so you don't have much to worry about. Sarutobi remarked, good. One question. Who is going to train him? That would be one of the secrets he told me. Although, I will say this. She isn't anything like most would think. I'll also be helping out, so you could say it would be a bit of a collaboration with his training. Anko stiffened, saying, don't tell me the Kyuubi is going to train him. How did he? Anko gave a nod. Don't mention it to anyone, since you already know that, you would be able to figure out the other things he told me not to say. Such as Naruto already talking with him, or he's trying to corrupt Naruto's mind? In order, yes, then no also, the Kyuubi is female, Anko replied. How do you know this? For all you know, I know more than you think. I already know the backstory, from the source. She's actually pissed at what happened that day, but not at the Yondaime. She told me herself. She does want revenge from what was done to her, but the village is not the cause of that. She didn't say who it was, but did say that they are no longer affiliated with any village now. She didn't even tell me if the person was male or female. Interrupted Anko. Sarutobi gave her a look. You mean to tell me, she isn't even mad at the Yondaime for sealing her? Anko gave a nod. That's right. Her anger is focused on whoever increased her bloodlust through some genjutsu that, for some reason, she couldn't break. She was grateful to the Yondaime, and even shed a tear when she said that. If anyone said demons don't cry, they lied. I saw that for myself. Sarutobi gave her a startled look. How do you know any of this? When you go straight to the source, you find out more than learning through gossip. The origin? No. Did she really speak with the Kyuubi? You're probably wondering if I actually did talk to her. The answer is yes. He is not to know that you know any of this. I don't want him to stop trusting me right now. Us outcasts have to stick together, and gaining our trust is not easy. For this reason, you should keep the fact you know any of this a secret. Not even the council should know, and definitely not Naruto himself. Sarutobi sighed deeply and sat back. Anko, I see where you're going with this. Do you think that you can truly help him? I do. I can't do much, but I can help him out to a point. I will do everything I can to help him out until I can't do anything else. I don't intend on making him use my fighting style, because the two of them will work on that. Anko said, nodding, very well. You are dismissed, and walked away. The following day Anko was late in rising. She prepared a room for the blonde maelstrom all night long. She locked her house and went out. She then proceeded to locate Naruto in the Forest of Death. He was still meditating, so it wasn't difficult. He opened his eyes when she reached the clearing. Hey, Anko, Nichan. Well, I got it all approved by the Hokage. I was up for hours last night trying to get a good spot for you made. Otherwise, I'd probably be here earlier. That's okay. I see where you went with that. One more thing. I tried dropping a few hints at what you said, but mostly kept them secret. He probably found out about some of them. If he did, he already knows not to say anything about it. Anko sighed. Naruto gave her a look. He felt a little depressed, but not angry, but he was alert almost instantly. So, how did you word the warning? When he figures it out, and I have no doubt he will, he is not to tell anyone what it is. Not even the council. He put you in my hands, and though I'm not completely capable, Akane should be able to fill any holes I'd miss. Anko replied. Now, what did you learn last night? I need to know what you already know, so I can make some accurate adjustments. Well, history is one thing. Didn't get that far into it, but this is from the beginning of the ninja clans to the founding of the villages. I also learned more about chakra, Naruto replied. Naruto nodded and took a leaf, saying, the new knowledge of chakra should help you out. Alright, let's get back to the leaf. Remember, 3 minutes straight. He was able to leave it there for more than 2 minutes. Good job there. 2 minutes, 14 seconds. Quite an improvement on the time, said Anko. I think I can help you out with the next exercise now. Really? A somewhat excited Naruto inquired. Anko gave a nod. It is to climb a tree, without using your hands. I'll buy. How do you do that? As she located a tree, Anko remarked, I think it's better if I show, than if I tell you. The chakra moved into Naruto's feet. Last night, he became aware that he could sense chakra. She planted a foot on the tree trunk and began to ascend it. After climbing the tree's side, she hung upside down from a branch. This is basically it. The point is finding the correct amount of chakra and keeping it steady. Too much chakra, you'll blow the tree. Too little, you won't stick. Find a tree. Anko grabbed a kunai. Anko propelled the kunai to his feet and said, when you fall off, cut it with this. Doing that will give a height to beat. When you reach the top of the tree, and can go up and down it several times with no problem, you've basically got this down. Naruto gave a nod. Since the feet are the hardest part of the body to channel chakra to, this is an excellent way to train control. Anko laughed. When he reached a tree, he pushed chakra to his feet. Naruto nodded as Anko remarked, you might want to get a running start. You'll need the momentum. He began to run in the direction of the tree, rose about 5 paces, and then fell. I told ya, didn't I? Naruto remarked, too little, I have to keep it balanced. Kid, focus on the tree itself. All things have some type of energy. find that amount, and use the same amount. Shutting his eyes, Naruto concentrated on the tree. He got his thoughts straight. He rushed toward the tree as soon as he opened them. He became noticeably intoxicated. He ascended the 18-story tree halfway. A.N. This tree is one of the smaller ones, but wow, those trees are huge. Anko said something that caused him to lose focus. He was blasted off the tree when it rose too high. A little more than halfway, he marked it. He came to a standing position. It stung him, but that was all. Anko. Nichan, why did you do that? It helps you learn to concentrate, without shifting your focus to distractions, said Anko. Naruto's eyebrow went up. By that, I mean you need to be able to control your chakra as if it were second nature. When you can do that even when you are in a fight that could get you killed, you've already got it as a second nature. Before you can even do something like that, though, you need it at second nature. Naruto let out a sigh. She has a point, kid. Still, your control is a lot better now than it was beforehand. Naruto had an idea and said, hang on for a second. He simply cleared his thoughts as though he were meditating, rather than paying attention to the tree itself. He sprang chakra to his feet, and when Anko said something unexpected, he increased by the same amount. This time it didn't work, so she threw a senbon in his direction. He stayed close to the tree and avoided it. Anko was taken aback by his accomplishment. After reaching the summit, he descended to a branch once more. Before he reached the ground, he continued to jump from branch to branch until he reached another nearby branch. Why did you throw that needle? Well, you avoided it, and it didn't seem to distract you. Mind telling me how? Replied Anko. Well, I wasn't really focusing on anything. My mind was clear of all thoughts. It's like I was meditating, but I was completely conscious and on the move. Replied Naruto. Do it again. This time, I'll be throwing 2 or more at a time. See if you can keep up. Anko replied. After giving her a quick glance, Naruto nodded. Returning to the tree, he began to run. As he did, he cleared his mind and charged chakra. Every time she threw them, he climbed up and avoided the senbon. He reached the summit, circled, and descended the trunk again, only to discover more needles approaching him. He continued to dodge while maintaining his composure. He seemed to have mastered it already. He smirked as he approached Anko. I guess that's a good start, don't you? Anko said, nodding. Now let's see you do some exercises while doing this. From now on, every other day you will get to a tree, hang upside down from a branch and do 20 squats. After you're done with that, you will hang on to the trunk and, while your head is pointing down at rest, we'll do 20 sit-ups. I will add more when you get these down, and then I will increase the amount of each one. You'll continue to work on your chakra control, and at the same time, you'll increase your stamina and strength. Anko said with a nod. He needed this, he knew. He went to the tree and hung from a branch, upside down. He began performing a series of squats and completed them. At the age of 18, he went to the trunk to begin the sit-ups, but he fell off and was caught by Anko. And that's why I'm here. You need a way to be able to catch yourself if you do fall. So, I'm going to have to teach you a clone of some sort. I'll handle that later. You have gotten more than enough control. Clearing your mind helps you out more than you think. All right, can you tell me which one? She might be able to assist. Somehow, I doubt it. The one I was thinking of teaching you was the shadow clone. It is more your speed, and you should be able to create upwards of 100. Nice. Anko's eyes widened as Naruto said, well, we have one lined up. What do you know about the shadow clone jutsu, Anko? Naruto nodded and said, Akane suggested it, didn't she? Okay, the first thing you need to know is that a shadow is a pure copy of yourself. It is marked as forbidden for several reasons, though. Naruto said, okay, I'm listening. First off, the amount of chakra it takes is a good amount. For this reason most Junin could only create up to about 20, but some would dispel automatically. After the jutsu is completed, each shadow clone along with the original copy have the same amount of chakra. In other words, the remaining chakra is split evenly. Well, Akane did say that I would be able to make upwards of 100 shadow clones. With the reserves you have, along with you being able to draw on her chakra as well, I wouldn't be surprised if you could make upwards of 1,000 shadow clones. Anko said. But that's not the point. The Junin in question will only be able to use 1 or 2 C-rank jutsu, and then pass out due to chakra exhaustion. Then, if I used the shadow clone jutsu, and made, say 100, do you think I could handle it? Replied Naruto. I'm not gonna answer that just yet. There are a few more downsides you need to be aware of. The next thing you should know is the fact that whatever a shadow clone learns during the time it is around is transferred to the original, along with any other clones that are still around. The downside to this is when you dispel too many clones at once, you may have a mental backlash. So, I'd get a headache, maybe pass out. More like a migraine. Passing out is a definite. Anko replied. It is for this reason that shadow clones are used for scouting and espionage. If you can make upwards of 100, you just make about 50, and have them train on a few things, and another 10 or so, to work on chakra control, or study. You'll get the combined experience of all of the clones, thus resulting in better training, or even learning jutsu, or control. One shadow clone working on chakra control for 2 hours, will gain 2 hours of experience. 2 shadow clones doing the same exercise for 1 hour, will gain the same 2 hours worth of experience that one clone did in 2 hours. She's basically saying that for every shadow clone doing the same thing for the same amount of time, experience will be stacked. That's good. Aside from the mental backlash, it's a great thing to use for training. For someone who knows how to meditate, you could sort out everything you learn while doing so. How it would work with your mindscape, I don't know. Anko nodded as Naruto stated, well, I'm gonna head in there and learn the shadow clone jutsu. It should help out more with my training than anything else. Mind if I come along? Naruto gave a shrug. He took a seat, and she took a seat directly beside him. I don't see why not. Both of them began to meditate. The mindscape of Naruto, Anko and Naruto ended up in the field, where they were observing the cottage. Akane approached them. Alright Naruto. Come with me. Anko, you may want to stand back for this. It's easy to perform, at least, the way he's going to learn it. What's more is, since this is his mindscape, he won't get that tired. Anko gave a nod. Anko remained where he was, but Naruto and Akane both descended to the field. Akane sealed the first 2 fingers of both hands in a cross. Alright, Naruto. The version I'm going to teach you only has one sign. You send the chakra into the sign, and call out the jutsu. That sign is this. When you make this sign, send chakra to it, call out the jutsu, and this should happen. Naruto sensed that Akane had done so. Shadow clone jutsu. About 50 clones of Akane materialized, along with a few smoke plumes. Then Naruto nodded and said, see what I mean? Now you try it. The hand sign was made by Naruto. Shadow clone jutsu. Naruto's shadow clones in number reached about 80. Wow. You get amazed at the smallest of things. Naruto answered, it's just amazing that I can do this, and I'm only 4. Akane nodded and said, especially when Junin have trouble with it. Dispel them 10 at a time, every 15 seconds. That should reduce the backlash, and eliminate the possibility of fainting in here. Naruto did so without experiencing much headache pain. Akane gave him a look. Now, do it again. This time, put as much chakra as you can into it. Naruto gave her a look. After you do that, they're to get into groups of 10. Since you can do this here without much consequence, it is a lot more safe to do so here. Naruto let out a sigh. He filled the seal with roughly 3 times as much chakra as he had previously. Shadow clone jutsu. Alright, get into groups of 10 each. We're gonna see how many of me I can make, the original replied. Everyone scurried. They discovered 63 groups of 10 after counting. Another group had 8, but that was all. With a nod, Naruto said, 638, not bad. Dispel just like last time. I think you know the mechanics of the jutsu now. He did so, but it took more than 10 minutes. There is one more thing you will want to know. Making as many shadow clones as you can, will also help with your taijutsu. Anko was already down there. It doesn't help him learn taijutsu. The effects don't stack. I never said anything about stacking. When you're going up against a massive amount of opponents, which he can provide, he can go 1 on 100, and learn the flaws of whatever style he's using, anything he needs to work on, and even gain battle experience. He won't be able to see what kind of effects the attacks will bring, but he can see how to get around the guard of multiple opponents at once. Anko's gaze widened. You're saying that if he creates 100 shadow clones, and he fights them solo, he can practice taijutsu, while learning more about his own style. If there's anything he needs to work on, anything he can improve on, and gain experience fighting against the odds. My point exactly. That kind of training can only happen if a Jinchuriki is involved, and they can use the shadow clone jutsu. Akane glanced over to Naruto. You can't gain physical training here, and that's a little disappointing, but that's something we have to deal with. Question. If I use it in here, will it affect my chakra out there? Replied Naruto. I am not entirely sure. You should only try to make maybe 50 shadow clones at first. If some of them dispel right after being created, then the answer is yes. If not, and you don't feel much, at all, the answer will be no either way. I can't really say which will come about. Naruto gave a nod. I guess we're done in here for now. One more thing. Once you have completed the exercises Enko gives you on your control, you should start working on water walking. I haven't gone through that. I know of it, but I haven't done so, Enko replied. You are a Chunin, are you not? A somewhat experienced Chunin. However, the Hokage was planning on requesting me to be a special Chunin for the Chunin exams. Enko responded. Akane gave a nod. Well, I guess I'll have to explain it when it's time. Akane replied. I may not be a ninja, but I do know how the exercise works. My Yuki is the same way, and I can use it like you use chakra. Naruto and Enko both nodded. Both of them went outside. The time was mid-afternoon. Naruto's belly rumbled. He scratched his head and smiled uneasily. The growl in Enko's stomach echoed. I guess I haven't really eaten in a while. Make that both of us. I got an idea. Since I actually have some money, why don't we eat at one of my favorite places? Suggested Enko. Why not? Where is it? It's the Dango shop. I'll lead the way. You're with me this time around, so they should accept you. They're some of the only ones to actually like my company. Hey, their Dango is the best. Naruto gave her an odd look. He gave a shrug. As long as you're buying, I don't see much problem with it, since I don't have any money of my own. Enko gave a small laugh. I didn't think you had any, and was intending on paying anyway. Both of them left for their lunch. Hey, Nae-san. Yeah, Naruto? When we're done with lunch, you mind if we head to your place? You did say the old man gave you permission to take me in. I'm not adopting you, but you are going to live with me. The reason for this is the law the council passed stopping anyone from adopting you. It sucks, but I think I have a better way to settle the little matter of your mother, Enko clarified. I didn't know about that law. Then again, you did say you had stayed in contact with my actual mother, so I didn't think you'd be adopting me, replied Naruto. I did, and I sent her a message about a son, and if she had one. I'm not sure if she really is your mother, but if she is, she'll either ask why, or something like that, said Enko. But like I said before, I'm not sure if she really is your mother, so all I can do is wait for her reply, until I can be sure. Meeting Akane drove that lesson home. Waiting until she knows for a fact, and then making a decision. Not bad, she learned something just from meeting me. I didn't think that was easy, but I guess not. It's not all as it seems. Akane-chan, you're a perfect illustration of that. Akane laughed. Dango store Naruto and Enko went inside. Hey guys. Sorry it's been a while. I've been a little picking up with a new friend. The store owner gave Enko a look. Ah, Enko. Who's the kid? Enko said to the man, my friend. He may be young, but he's more like me than most. Well, what's your na? Never mind. I heard about you from the other shop owners. Naruto was about to leave when the owner interrupted, saying, I guess I'm not wanted anywhere in the village. Sorry, Enko. Nichan. Naruto halted in his tracks and said, that doesn't mean I believe them. If what Enko says is true, then you're good in my book. I know one other place that wouldn't mind you either. They don't care what a customer is. They will serve them. Naruto looked around with a sense of optimism. Wow, you were right, Enko. He is more like you than anyone else. How many do you think he can eat? Being on the street for a while, I guess he could eat quite a bit. Let's get 10 to start. You know how much I love Dango. Enko replied. The man gave a nod. 10 sticks? Inquired Naruto. Enko stated, 10 trays. They have 6 sticks on each. Come on, let's sit down. After some time of conversation, the Dango approached them. Oh boy, I'm gonna take 5 trays to start. Eat as much as you can, Naruto. You're gonna need it, Enko replied. They turned to face the owner after they were done. Naruto interrupted Enko as she was about to say goodbye. Thank you for giving me a chance. I appreciate it. No problem, kid. Seriously, I don't see what their problem with you is. What they see in you, I don't see. The man replied. Name's Onimaru. See you next time. After several weeks, Naruto's training was improving. Enko had been concealing everything from most people, including the lessons she had been teaching him from the Hokage. Next month was his 5th birthday. After realizing it, Enko chose to let him skip training for the day so he could spend it hiding. She was aware that Akane was the reason they would attack him. Hey, Naruto. Your birthday is in a few weeks. Is there something you'd like to get? Replied Enko. Well, I would like to see my mother, someday. My birthday is probably not a good day to do so, though. The village will go after me with everything they have and more. I'm glad you were sticking with me, regardless of what happened back then. I mean, I know it's not her fault, but still. You're not like the others. Naruto replied. Anko grinned. Naruto's eyes widened as he said, well then, how about you see her in a few days? Kushina sent me a message saying that she's coming back. She wants to see her son. It will take a few days, but she'll be here. She seemed a little pissed off that they told her you were dead, when you obviously weren't. Anko went on. Does that mean I have to leave you, Nae-san? Anko gave a headshake. She knows you and I have grown close, and isn't mad about me training you. She is a little shocked at the fact you have two senseis. One of which, she said, may try to corrupt you. She wants you to learn some proper etiquette, but that doesn't seem to be your style, to me. To that, she said you're just like your father. The man who only wore a tux at his wedding. There's nothing to worry about regarding our friendship. A grin was fixed on Naruto's face. Don't get too excited, Naruto-kun. She may have you stop talking to me, and thus, you lose one of your senseis. She is unable to separate you from me. It simply would not be feasible. In my mindscape, you are. She is powerless to change it. You really are sweet. Even when I don't mean to. In any case, I think it's time for me to return to my training. Hey, Nae-san, training? Inquired Anko. Naruto gave a nod. Naruto received a nod when he stated, I still need to get my style down. I want to impress my mom with it. I can't do that if it's flawed. They both left for the Forest of Death after saying, okay then, let's go. Hokage's Tower Sarutobi was observing the entire conversation. Recently, he had been consuming a lot of Naruto and Anko content. He was essentially observing their bond when he wasn't working on his paperwork. They almost seemed like brothers and sisters. The Forest of Death was reached. It was where they typically trained. Why they always train there still baffles me. It's not completely secure. Still, he's made some progress the entire time. Though, I wonder who Akane is. Sarutobi replied. When they arrived at a clearing, the Hokage had no more paperwork to complete. He would be able to observe them working out together. With Naruto gestured with his hand, Shadow Clone Jutsu. The clearing was crowded with about 150 clones. He was unaware that the Hokage was observing him. He assumed the stance he had been practicing for taijutsu. His right hand was open, but the fingers were slightly curled, and his right arm was in front of his torso, a little loose. The hand behind his leg was proportionate to his body, and his left arm was to the side. He needed the distance between his feet, which was greater than most styles. His head was upright, but his back was slightly hunched. The clones prepared themselves in unison. 3 or 4 originals at a time were hurried by the clones. With a single blow, it was fairly simple to dispel them. He lowered his defenses and easily defeated them. One entered to join when the other fell. He was essentially subjecting himself to physical stress. Hokage's Tower Sarutobi had been observing the usage of his style. I should get this kid a might guy. In unexpected ways, his taijutsu training is effective. Wait a minute. Clone shadows? How did he pick up that skill? Sarutobi was delving deeply into it when he realized that Anko was not at all assisting him. Did she instruct him in it? No, she isn't very good at it either. With Naruto, about 120 clones had already been eliminated by Naruto. Only 28 remained, plus himself. He didn't even appear exhausted. He waited for the clones to arrive, but they surprised him with something they did. At once they charged him. He went on the defensive right away and avoided the others while taking out a few at a time. He was incredibly adaptable. His strength in the hits was far greater than anyone else could measure at his age, and he had inhuman stamina. It's a Jinchuriki thing. Finally, only the original and 3 clones remained. They all appeared to be exhausted. The final 3 charged at him, and they all dispelled themselves in a rush of limbs. There was speed. Anko nodded after giving him a look. Well, it's not perfect, but it's getting better. Akane did say this would help me out in a few ways. I have seen what I'm lacking, and have been trying to correct those points. I have the speed, stamina, and form down. All I need now is to close the gaps I'm leaving open, and I'll be good. Naruto responded with a nod. Well then, let's go for a little one-on-one. You and me. Let's see how you do. Anko replied. After giving a nod, Naruto assumed his position. The position is a little erratic. Anko had direct knowledge of that. Begin. Naruto rushed Anko frantically. Anko attempted to counter after managing to dodge. After she missed, Naruto retreated a short distance before launching another attack. Hokage's tower Sarutobi was interestedly observing the spar. Clearly, he is doing better than most people realize. Even I am unable to identify a consistent pattern in his style. He almost seems to have designed it to be unpredictable in combat. That's how it seems, for sure. His door was knocked on. Enter. A man with the largest eyebrows in the village, a bowl haircut, and green spandex had entered. You wanted to see me, Lord Hokage? The man approached and looked at the kid, saying, Yes, I did. Take a look at this kid. I've been watching him spar with Anko for a few minutes now. He discovered that there was a problem with the style being used. That style. The stance. Those moves. It can't be. Sarutobi said, You know what style he's using, guy. I've only heard legends of it. Not even I have mastered it. Heck, I haven't even found much on it, period. Only rumors have ever been told. The Kitsune style, guy responded. Sarutobi glanced at him and asked, What do you know about it? From what I hear, the Kitsune style is different from almost all other styles. It is one of the few that are not predictable. In fact, unpredictability is a key element to it. However, that style has no records of it anywhere. I know one thing for sure. That style is hard to master. Those that do, they can easily be considered taijutsu specialists. It's either that, or one of the most unpredictable fighters around. How old is he? 4 years. Sarutobi stated, he'll be turning 5 next month on the 10th. Well then, that explains how he can even use that style. It doesn't, however, explain how he even knows of it. How so? The Kitsune style is made to work like a fox. If that's who I think it is, then he is obviously learning it from the Kyuubi. How he even managed to convince him to do so is beyond me. Sarutobi let out a sigh. That would explain a lot more than I thought. He has already made contact with the Kyuubi. That same Kyuubi and Anko, the one he's currently sparring with, are both teaching him since the rest of the village won't even bother to. They do speak of someone by the name of Akane, but I have no records of anyone by that name. They refer to her as a she, but that's about it. Guy widened Sarutobi's eyes and said, I think I figured that out. Akane is the Kyuubi. Would that make any sense? Why hadn't I considered that earlier? Guy, is there anything else that is needed to be known about this style? I must be losing my touch. Well, aside from the rumors of it, I can't say anything. I've never come in contact with it, and therefore don't know much for myself. It's clear that Akane is teaching the Kitsune style to him, but for what reason? Guy did not specifically inquire. What is the usual skill set of the style, or do you know that? I don't know much, but I do know that speed, stamina, flexibility, and unpredictability. Strength is optional, but would come along with training it. That kid will easily be a taijutsu beast. Guy responded, I'm sorry I can't be of much help here. It's my best suit, and even I don't know everything about it. I do, however, know that looking for patterns in it is useless. Just by watching him, I can see that much. Sarutobi gave a nod. Come to think of it, that area looks like the Forest of Death. It is. They've been training in there for a few weeks now. This is the first time I've actually watched them train, though. I must say, I am utterly surprised at his progress. Then again, he went after 150 shadow clones of himself before this. So I can't really say that. Guy's gaze expanded. Is it possible for me to see him spar up close? Not likely. When I don't have any paperwork to fill out, I'm watching these two. They've been living together for some time, and have even been training together. If she gets his shinobi skills up, he may even be Chunin level before he graduates. He's already above it in taijutsu. To use a style such as that is far beyond easy. You have to move without thinking, and not worry about going for a pattern yourself. Your body will be working itself, going for the unpredictable part of the style, while also reacting to your opponent's blows. It's highly possible for one to use jutsu in a style such as this, as long as it can be used without any hand signs. Guy continued. With Naruto without showing any signs of fatigue, Naruto and Anko continued their battle. After a few seconds, Anko picked it up again after briefly losing her touch. She didn't have enough time to recover after losing it the second time. Naruto was struck in the face. Anko struck a tree, causing it to topple over. Naruto turned to face his adversary. Anko was stunned. As he approached her, he saw that she was unconscious. You okay, Anko? Nichan? The blonde maelstrom was in front of her when Anko noticed it and said, my head. Huh? What happened? With a hint of concern, Naruto remarked, got a hit to your face and you toppled a tree on impact. That actually hurt. If one hit packs that much of punch, I don't want to be at the receiving end of it. Anko laughed. Naruto began to laugh as well. Naruto's laughter turned to laughter as he remarked, and to think I didn't even use Akane Yuki for that hit. Heck, I didn't even use my own chakra. That hit was all muscle, and not boosted in any way. Anko also began to laugh. Two people's mouths were agape back at the Hokage's tower. Naruto nodded as Anko said, well, let's get to meditation, then. That should help out for a bit. They both appeared to unwind after taking a seat close to a tree that was still standing. Konoha North Gate. A figure was approaching the gate. Before they realized who was approaching, the two guards were bored. They were terrified at once. They were at the gate, and she approached it. Azumo, Katetsu. It's been a while, hasn't it? She might not be angry, they both realized. Why? Yes, it has, answered Azumo. Katetsu gave him a look. I'm sorry, Kushina. Is there a reason for your return? Yes, there is. However, I just need to know one thing. Where is the one by the name of Naruto Uzumaki? Replied Kushina. Azumo began loudly, but he stopped as soon as a blade touched his neck. Why do you want to know where that demon? He said. The handle belonged to Kushina. You don't want to annoy me, Kushina said in a voice that said, don't. You dare call my son a demon. You're dead otherwise. Azumo swallowed. With a sword at his throat, as much as he could. To Katetsu, this was unexpected. You mean you have a son? Why didn't you tell anyone, and why is it that he looks like Minato? So, he got his father's looks, huh? That makes it simple. There were very few that looked like him when I left. If I see anyone harm him, I will hunt them down, and I will kill them. Simple as that. Kushina left the room. Alongside Naruto and Anko in search of something else to do, they were strolling around the town. A figure with a sword on her back was approaching them. She appeared strong and had red hair. Her presence was suddenly familiar to Naruto. The woman approached them both directly. Her gaze was fixed on Naruto. Hi? Naruto tensed. Naruto Uzumaki, right? When Anko saw this, she moved between them because she didn't recognize the woman. No one is to hurt him. Otherwise they're going through me. The woman gave Anko a curious look. At that moment, Naruto's eyes widened and he charged her. Anko. It surely has been a while, hasn't it? You obviously didn't recognize me. I'm not surprised that Naruto doesn't. After all, I don't believe it, you came back. When Anko looked at the embrace, he saw that the redhead was content with it. At last, she connected the dots. She raised an eyebrow and looked up, asking, Kushina? Is that really you? She turned to face Naruto and said, it's unbelievable that you forgot who I was, Anko. Hey, Naruto. I know you probably can't forgive me for what happened so far. To Kushina's slight surprise, Naruto said, don't worry, Mom. I'm fine. Anko. Nichan has been with me for a while, and we've been working on my ninja training. Ninja training? At your age? He gave a nod. Kushina looked at him and said, I have to improve if I want to be the best. I have to make you proud somehow. Well, then let's see what you can do. Naruto turned to face Anko. Both of them gave a nod. Naruto, Anko, and Kushina said, well, I guess it's time we head to our usual training spot. Let's go, and left. They were outside the Forest of Death 2 minutes later. Naruto, stop, both Naruto and Anko yelled. Kushina questioned, do you realize what this place is? Naruto merely gave a nod. I already know what kind of danger this forest poses, and nothing ever happens. Wolves do come up to us sometimes, and I play around with them from time to time, but nothing ever attacks me in here. Besides, I could always train in here without being interrupted by the villagers wanting me in a grave, because of Akane. I still don't blame her or Dad about what happened. Kushina's eyes widened once more. You mean, you already know how to access her strength? Naruto gave her a look. No, I am on good terms with her, yes. She does want me to get rid of the bastard that forced her to attack the village in the first place, and she did say she was grateful to my dad for sealing her into me. That's all I can really say on the matter. The old man, near as I can figure, doesn't know that I already found out who my father was, or that I can talk to her. Well, if we want someplace quiet, this is the best place for us. Kushina nodded after giving him a look. They entered the forest and said, let's go then. There, an Anbu showed up and followed them inside. Anko and Kushina were standing close to the edge of the clearing when the three of them arrived. About 100 shadow clones were made by Naruto. Naruto assumed his kitsune stance and said, okay. Let's do this. Around 3 or 4 at a time. The clones began to sink as he charged into the sea of them. They briefly retreated before charging in groups of 5. He disposed of one, and another replaced it. He turned to his mother after getting rid of them all. His blue eyes shifted to red ones. Leaning against a tree, he took a seat. You overexerted yourself, this time. You're losing a bit of control. You need to meditate and regain some of it. Or at least rest up. If you are not in control of your own body, you cannot do some of the simpler tasks. I apologize, Akane. Chan. Anko. Ni-chan, I kind of overexerted myself. I'm gonna need to rest for a bit. Think now would be a good time for that. Naruto responded with a wink. Hey, do you think it would be possible to have Kushina meet Akane? Asked Anko. Naruto tensed after saying, I don't know. You're the only one so far to do so. We've got company. Kushina gave a nod. He's here for me. I recognize his chakra signature. It's an old friend of mine. The trio was confronted by the ANBU's landing. Kushina said, an Inu mask? Really? The Anbu remarked, it sure has been a while, Kushina. That it has. Anyway, why did you follow us in here? I wanted to say hi to you, and also protect the almost carbon copy of my sensei. I mean, look at him. If not for the whisker marks, he'd look almost exactly like Minato. Sensei. The Anbu responded. You know, why don't you remove your mask? After all, few people come in here, so you're good, Kushina replied. Reaching for the Anbu mask, the man removed it. A head of silver. Gray hair that appeared to defy gravity was revealed. His left eye is covered by a leaf headband. The lower portion of his face is hidden by a mask. I feel like I should trust you, Kushina. After all, your marriage was never made public. Anko gave him a look. Kakashi Hitaki? You're friends with Kushina as well? Why wouldn't I be friends with my sensei's wife? I was there at their wedding, after all. It was kept on the down low, so don't tell anyone about that. In fact, I was one of the select few that knew both of his parents, and could even give you a complete personality record of them both. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to say anything about their relation to Naruto here, due to a law that was supposed to protect him. A lot of good that did him. Kakashi continued. The fact they'd try to take him out is an insult to Minato. Sensei, and that is something I will not take sitting down. If I am in the village, I watch over him. If I'm on a mission, I get it over with as fast as possible, without making mistakes, and get back here ASAP. He needed someone to protect him from the majority of the village. They didn't honor his final wish, and I was about ready to kill a few people with my own jutsu. That was when he left to this forest. He found a friend in Anko, they got close, and I figured I could let up for a while. They both protect each other. Being outcasts brought them together, and that sense of friendship is what keeps them together. If I didn't know any better, I'd say they've actually gotten close enough to become siblings. Kushina gave him a look. What about Jiraiya and Tsunade? Jiraiya couldn't take him with him. Tsunade probably was told the same thing as you. She fled, not even bothering to pack anything. She was too broken to see anything. Although, I have felt Jiraiya's presence a few times. I never could find him, and figured it was just me. Naruto began to talk. Well, I know who they are as people, but what relation do they have to me? Kakashi and Kushina gazed at him. Naruto, Jiraiya was supposed to be your godfather, and Tsunade your godmother. Kakashi knew this much, and would have tried to find them if he could. With a hint of rage in his voice, Kakashi stated, it was either that, or adopt him myself. Unfortunately, the latter was made illegal for anyone to do. If not for that, he would have found a home with me, or the Nara clan. That much I know for sure. Kushina simply glanced at him after noticing his tone. How many people tried adopting him? Only 4. Hikari Hyuga, Makoto Uchiha, Shikaku Nara, and myself. Other than that, no one even came close to even trying. Anko was the only one to be able to get him into her home, thus bypassing the law. Kakashi replied, shocking Kushina. I'm not his guardian, merely like his sister. I already knew of the law saying he couldn't be adopted, so I went for the next best thing. I took him in as if he were my brother, not a son. For this reason, the council couldn't get me with that law, and there was nothing saying he couldn't stay as a brother. Adoption was not part of it, and since you were here, and his birth mother to boot, he can live with you. I just ask for one thing. Anko replied. Kushina's eyebrow went up. I'd like to keep him as a brother. Whether by blood or not, he and I are family. That much has been proven several times over. That is all I ask. Kakashi was stunned. You would stay with him, even if you don't have to? I didn't take him in because I had to in the first place. I took him in because I wanted to. I saw myself in him. Someone the village hated for something out of their control, and they had no idea about. I have only proven my point that I want to stay with him as a sister, as we have been. That's it. There's no other motive behind this. I don't want to see him go at the world on his own, when I could easily help him. Anko spoke with tenacity. Kushina nodded as he gave her a look. You know what, Anko? I think that would be a good idea. However, in your last message to me, you said you along with someone named Akane was training him. I already know who Akane is, as well. They have talked about someone named Akane, but I'm not completely sure who it is, seeing as nobody but Anko has gotten close enough to him to be a friend. Kakashi continued. Naruto turned to face Anko. The other two turned to face Anko as she asked, Are you sure about that, Naruto? Do you really think it could work out? I don't really see why not. I mean, my mother would know about Akane soon, and the Cyclops over there is a family friend, apparently, so he could probably keep a few secrets on this. Naruto replied. Kushina and Kakashi exchanged glances before turning back to face him. I don't intend on saying a word if you don't want me to, Kakashi responded. I have to honor my sensei, and if that means keeping this a secret from the Hokage, I will do so. Also, I'm curious as to how you had become friends with Akane, Kushina responded. Naruto nodded and said, Well, Nae-san, why don't you explain how to get there, while I get everything ready? Then he began to meditate. The mindscape of Naruto once more, Naruto found himself directly outside the cottage. Naruto, are you sure that it's a good idea to trust them with this? Someone has to know the true story of what happened. My mother especially. If Kakashi does reveal it, then I'd let you take care of him, replied Naruto. Still, I don't think he would go against a promise he would have made to my father to protect me. If he told anyone about you and me being friends, he would be betraying that trust, thus breaking the promise he made. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that when one makes a promise to a friend, they will keep it. Still, I don't think it's a good idea. We'll talk on this later. The others should be getting here soon, said Naruto. Just as they expected, Kakashi, Kushina, and Anko appeared directly in front of them. Welcome to my mindscape. Anko, I noticed you were not really sure about doing this. I am not either, Akane replied. Anko nodded and said, I didn't think you would like this, either. So you can understand why, I guess. The redhead in front of them caught the attention of Kushina and Kakashi. It was Kushina who spoke first. Naruto, who is this? This is Akane Kitsune. One of my senseis. She's also a good friend of both me and Anko, was the response. Naruto.kun has asked me to tell you the full story of what happened that day. I will admit you wouldn't believe me if I told you, but he seems to trust you. He did say that if Kakashi reveals what you hear in this place, he would let me tear him apart. Kushina arched an eyebrow and asked, He did? Yes, Mom. I did. I figure that if he was truly a family friend, he'd keep it a secret. However, it's better safe than sorry, Naruto replied. Kakashi gave nod. I understand where you're coming from. As I said out there, I have no intentions of revealing any secrets of yours without your permission. This is not because of who you are, but the fact that I was close friends with both your parents, and actually being taught by one of them. I also realize that with a life such as yours so far, you'd need to know you can trust someone before you actually do. So I already understand why you would say something like that. Still in human form, Akane arched an eyebrow. Well then, here's the story from start to finish, as I saw it. This goes to a few hours before the attack. From the moment she was called to the moment she was sealed, Akane went into great detail to explain everything. I am still grateful to the Yondaime for stopping me. He could have tried to kill me, but instead he sealed me. Being out of control means I couldn't do a thing to stop myself. If there's someone I want to kill right now, it is Madara. I would not dream of attacking this place, unless I had no choice, or they killed Naruto. After which, I would unleash a rampage the likes of which dwarfed the one that day. However, that is only if he does die before his time. Only then would I attack. If he releases me, that is his decision. With a sigh, Akane went on. I know he will come after me again. When he does, I want him to be ready. That is one reason I wanted to train him. Another is to make up for what I did, regardless of the fact I wasn't in control. Still, even if he wanted to, I would suggest he wait until Madara is truly dead, before he does so. When that happens, we can all live in peace. If I need to leave the village, I will at that point. Her words caused Kushina and Kakashi to reflect. Okay, a few questions. First off, if Madara is dead, how can he summon you in the first place? Of that, I am not sure. I do know it was him, though. He is the only human that truly smells like a demon, and still have a human aura. This wasn't the first time it happened either. It also happened at the place now known as the Valley of the End. That was the fight between your Shodem Hokage and Madara himself. I don't know the specifics of that one, but I remembered being forced out of it by Hashirama. Together we took down Madara. He didn't die, as I now know. Someone has to finish the job Hashirama and I started all those years ago. For that very reason, makes 3 reasons for me wanting to train him. I am even training him in the taijutsu style of the Kitsune. I wanted him known as the Kitsune warrior, but that choice is up to him. Akane, I told you. I will take him out. I know it's not going to be easy if he survived a fight against both you and the Shodem, but that's the beauty of it. It means that there is someone that could be highly challenging. However, he let his arrogance get to his head, and turned it into experience. Naruto replied. Kushina questioned, you do realize that, right? He won't be easy to beat. Naruto gave a nod. He had Kakashi's full attention. Naruto, I'm going to be straight up and say it. You sounded like your father right then and there. Naruto gave him a nervous smile and scratched the back of his head. That settles it. He is definitely yours and Minato, Sensei's son. There is no doubt in my mind on this any longer. I just hope he didn't inherit your temper, Kushina. Otherwise, Kakashi sighed, that wouldn't be a pretty sight. Kushina gave him a fierce look. I'm only speaking the truth here. You'd kill anyone that royally pissed you off. Kushina's glare grew softer. Come to think of it, you're right. However, right now, my son needs me. If someone goes after him, I will go after them. No one messes with my family, and gets away with it. Also, has Danzo tried recruiting him? Kakashi gave a shrug. I couldn't say for sure. I'm never present at the council meetings. You'd have to ask Lord Hokage about that. Kushina let out a sigh. Well, you all know that this kind of information will not get out. No one in the village would dare interrogate me, they know better. Kakashi remarked, ain't that the truth? Naruto, Anko, and Akane all nodded. If you tell anyone this, remember the consequences. Akane, you won't have to go after them, because I will myself. Is there anyone else who knows? Asked Kushina. The Hokage might have figured it out by now, with the hints I gave him. However, I have a feeling he doesn't know the full story. He did say he was happy about the paperwork regarding Naruto living with me, said Anko. It would be equivalent to calling Jiraiya a pervert to claim that Kakashi and Kushina were taken aback, extremely understated. The first to get over the emotion was Kakashi. If he was actually happy to do paperwork for something, that means it's something he has wanted more than his own life but could never get. Anko, Akane, and Naruto were taken aback. Kushina just gave a nod. I'm basically speechless at that. After all, he does hate paperwork with a passion. Well, that's all I have to say about me. There's not much else to be known, and he could tell you himself, as it is about his training. I still intend on giving him advice when he needs it, and he does seem to be able to sense chakra flow. Kushina gave her a look. That would be because of me. It's in my blood, just like reading and interpreting seals. However, that I would have to train him in myself. The Uzumaki clan was known for their seal making, along with the ability to hide their naturally large reserves of chakra, and their ability with a sword. It's not widely known that we can sense chakra flow. Well, that makes sense, I guess. I don't know everything about seals, I'll admit. However, when it comes to curses and barriers, I'm better than the Nidaime Hokage is with water-style jutsu. I'm that good with it, Akane replied. Anko gave Akane a look. Why didn't you say anything sooner? I would have had you take a look at the one I have. Sorry, I guess it's only because you didn't ask. Then again, I didn't realize you even had one. Anko simply let out a sigh. You think you could take a look at it now? Why not? If it's to help a friend of Naruto, I'm good with it. Mom, I have a feeling that the old man would want to see you, at least to know why you came back. We'll be here for now. We're going to find a way to get rid of that curse. When we do, we'd have to rest up, because it might take a while, Naruto replied. Kakashi and Kushina both nodded. How do we leave here? Naruto closed his eyes and said, I think I can help with that. A light enveloped Kakashi and Kushina. Later, they vanished as the light went out. Naruto sat down a little distance away and said, Okay, I'll be meditating over here. If you need me, give me a holler. With Kushina, the eyes of Kushina and Kakashi opened. Kushina questioned, did he just force us out of his mind? They both nodded and Kakashi said, well, we didn't know how to get out ourselves. We'd have to ask Anko how to later on. They both shunned out, and Kushina said, he said he'd be here, and I will believe him for now. Let's go. Hokage's tower. He had just received word that Kushina was back. Since no one else was in his office, Kushina and Kakashi ended up there together. According to Kushina, Hiruzen, Kushina. So that report was true. Might I ask why you're back? My son is alive, and I intend on taking care of him. Anyone on the council says otherwise, I'll chop off an arm, leg, or for the males, they're jewels, replied Kushina. Sarutobi broke out in a sweat. You haven't changed one bit, Kushina. In fact, I'm glad you're back. I already know the full situation, and met with my son. He told me of what he's been doing so far, and the reasons behind it. I'm not saying anything about it to you, so don't bother asking. That kind of stuff will be kept in the family alone. Kushina's tone conveyed that she wasn't concerned about the outcome and would simply leave it at that. Sarutobi gave a nod. I actually know more than Naruto probably thinks. He's aware you have probably figured out most of it, however, there are things not even you could figure out. Those are the things I still don't intend on letting you know, Kushina replied. Kushina smirked and Kakashi laughed as Sarutobi remarked, and I don't intend on asking. The council will not be happy to hear he has living relatives. I'm tempted to call one and rub it in their faces. Kushina nodded in agreement as Kakashi remarked, this I'd love to see. Shall we call him up here and start it? Kushina gave a headshake. We should wait before that. First off, how much do you know? The majority of Sarutobi's response to the question was left up to inference. Well, you're right on most of it, however, there is one bit that you should know. Akane is, in fact, the Kyuubi. I know this for a fact, already. That's not what I wanted to say, though. She is currently trying to figure out the mechanics behind the mark on Anko. If what she told me about her skills with them, she should be able to figure out how to remove it. That's what they're doing right now, and that's why I said to wait. Sarutobi gave a nod. The mindscape of Naruto. Akane examined it while Anko remained seated. I got it down. Do you mind if I start now? Anko answered, the sooner the better. Akane gave a nod. Thing is, in order to do this properly, I'll be needing Naruto's help. Do I even want to know? In order for this to work successfully, I need to get rid of the corrosion induced by the mark itself. Then we have to get rid of the mark on your body itself. If I just get rid of it here, the corrosion can come back. That's the main problem here. So, in other words, Naruto and you have to work together to get everything done in a certain time frame. What exactly is the time limit for it? I'd say about 2 minutes tops. Not much time to do so, and then the corrosion may continue. Naruto's eyes widened. Akane, I think I have an idea. Is it possible for me to leave the mindscape with her staying in here? This way, I can work on the mark on the body, while you work on the corrosion. We do both of them at the same time, and we can get it done faster. Akane gazed thoughtfully. I'm not sure. We'd have to try that out. If you leave though, it's more likely anyone that isn't a resident here will leave. Before I start on this end, we should try that out. Anko stayed behind, but Naruto glowed and went. Looks like it is possible. Let's get to it. Remember, this is going to hurt a lot, so don't say I didn't warn you. Akane began reviewing a few hand signals. She used both palms to strike the mark. Anko let out a scream. Outside. Following Akane's hand signs, Naruto used both palms in the same manner. While Akane was still removing the corrosive chakra, the mark itself vanished from the body after roughly 30 seconds. Akane, the body no longer bears the mark. How are things going for you? This is almost finished. I have a small amount left. Please wait a moment. Perhaps you should drill a hole where the mark was. There is already 2 holes there, and purple blood is leaking out of them and dissolving before they reach the ground, so there's no need. I got it. Keep a careful check on the body and notify me if she becomes pale. Roger. When Anko opened her eyes 20 seconds later, she felt both holes in her neck, but they were rapidly closing. Where did those holes come from? They opened up as soon as the mark left your body, Naruto said with a smile. The main issue was that purple blood was gushing out of it. I'm finished on this end, kid. That was so exhausting, damn it. Get some rest then. I won't be training for a while, so you can rest easy for that time, Naruto said, nodding in his mind. Thank you. Naruto looked at Anko and said, it's finished. Akane just confirmed it to me. Everything is gone. That snake contract you told me about is the only thing that ties you to that snake bastard. When Anko saw the seriousness in his eyes, her eyes widened and she embraced him. She was crying, but it was happy tears, and her words were slurred, making it difficult for him to understand them. Don't worry about anything, she said. I will hate you no matter what. I help my family and friends, and you of all people should know that I think of you as family." With tears still running down her cheeks, Anko let go of him and grinned, saying, "I'm not depressed, disappointed, or anything like that. I'm simply—" Anko surprised them both by kissing him, albeit on the cheek, but it was still a kiss. "Happy." Anko laughed at his response as Naruto blushed and attempted to form words but was unsuccessful. "Don't Naruto. Nissan. You're still my brother even though you're not the object of my affection. I am capable of doing that." "Sorry, I just didn't think you'd ever do something like that," Naruto said, shaking his head to get his thoughts straight. "You caught me off guard." Naruto sat next to the same tree, and Anko simply nodded before taking a seat. With Kushina. And that's the full story. Kushina had just described Anko's justifications and the entire situation involving Naruto and Anko. Sarutobi pondered, "Are you sure you want to do this? Anko is a member of the Midarashi clan, after all. In addition to not being a shinobi clan, they appear to have detested her. My son is close to her, but they never really liked her." Kakashi was still there when Kushina answered, "You should know that better than anyone." "Yes, I am aware, and I wanted to be certain. Nothing would make me happier than to see Naruto smile. I was therefore more than happy to approve the paperwork so that he could live with Anko. To be honest, I was on the verge of insulting the council, but I'm glad I haven't done so yet. This type of information is incomparable and will provide them with even more fodder. In fact, I'm happier now than I was when I was first appointed Hokage and was unaware of the risks associated with paperwork, or its connection to my role. Yes, I was thrilled. It's been a while since I've felt that way." Kakashi and Kushina nodded. "I understand. We ought to hold off on doing so until tomorrow, in my opinion. To add insult to injury, we will have a field day." With a cunning grin on her face, Kushina said, "I know I am." Kakashi and Sarutobi both winced at the smirk. "I don't think killing them is a good idea, Kushina. However, I wouldn't mind Danzo," Sarutobi said, adding that he had been hoping to train Naruto for a year. "You know why I wouldn't permit it. I'm certain Danzo would attempt that. He's my son and a Jinchuriki. He would have wanted my son as his weapon after learning that and who his father is. He won't have the opportunity now that I'm here," Kushina stated icily. "I already feel bad for him. Simply leave some of him for me. I can only imagine what you're going to do to that Warhawk bastard," Kakashi remarked. "I'd like to try my hand at him." "That makes two," Kushina said, observing that Kakashi was extremely serious. "Would Hikari and Mikoto be interested in participating in that?" "I wouldn't rule it out. They're your friends, after all, and the only people who really knew he was your son. They wanted to adopt them for a variety of reasons." Sarutobi remarked, "You mentioned that Naruto and Akane were attempting to determine how to remove that curse Anko possessed, correct? Damn council never gave him a chance." Nodding, Kushina said, "Why are you asking?" They were sitting by a tree, and Sarutobi glanced at his crystal ball. "It would seem that they are done with it," he said. "I can see that Anko was crying, but I'm not sure if it was because of pain, happiness that has vanished, or sadness that was unavoidable. However, her smile suggests that it might have been joy." "I'll go check on him," Kushina said, glancing at Kakashi. "Thanks to Inoichi. I do have some knowledge of telepathy. Kakashi could tell you the outcome if I told him. I think we could insult them with something else if it's gone. The sole individual capable of eliminating Orochimaru's curse mark." Kushina shunned out. "I like that woman even though the council views her as a threat." With a frown on his creased face, Sarutobi remarked, "One question. She doesn't give a shit about them, and I tend to agree. You took off your mask in front of her, but why?" "I wasn't told to go in there. I wanted to speak with her when I saw her. She told me that I already knew who his parents were. However, since he is essentially a whisker-marked carbon copy of Minato Sensei, I could still identify his father," Kakashi said. "I'll put it back on now." With Naruto, Kushina landed squarely in front of Anko and her son. "Oh, hello, mother. You know what? Did you not already figure out how to get rid of it?" Kushina inquired. Anko said, "It hurt like hell, and on two fronts at that," after Naruto nodded. "Two fronts? How?" Kushina inquired. "While I worked on the mark on the body itself, Akane worked on the corrosion it brought. You don't really think that kind of thing should be painless, do you?" With an eyebrow raised, Naruto inquired. "Well, that makes three things to rub in the face of the council," Kushina said, nodding as she gave him a look. Anko gave her a look. "Three? I only see two. The first is that you are circumventing a law that forbids adoption. 2. I am his mother. And 3. He is the only one who can take away the curse that Mark Orochimaru gave you, even though it was said that it couldn't be taken away," Kushina stated, "You can see why I so want to do that right now. Of 3 things to rub in their face." Anko and Naruto exchanged glances before turning to face Kushina. "You know, how about we do that now? When they learn that the person they fear and despise is willing to kill him and take actions that they themselves are incapable of. I would love to see the expressions on their faces." Kushina looked at him in surprise. "And finally, see some grounds to leave me alone, and living. 2. That same person has a bad ass for a mother that would easily kill them if angered. A triple victory for us. We'll win 4 times because I don't think they'll mess with Anko either. Well, there is still one council member I am going to kill for wanting to use you as his personal weapon, a heartless drone," Kushina said with a simple smile. "I'm not going to overlook your behavior. To begin with, I believe you would be hungry. Have you visited Ichiraku's before?" "We've been sticking to the dango shop," Naruto and Anko said, glancing at her. "In fact, Anko gets along well with them there and is accepted. I quickly became friendly with them through her." Kushina gave Anko a slightly arrogant look and said, "You succeeded in making someone else like him, no matter what he is. I'm happy I persuaded Hiruzen to allow you to remain with us. You'd be a good older sister for him, and you're a good friend." Anko nodded. "I also have a good friendship with Tucci, who owns the ramen stand in Ichiraku. Since the destruction of Whirlpool Village, you could argue that they have the best ramen in all of the elemental countries." "Okay, but only if Anko Nichan comes as well," Naruto said with a simple nod. Kushina said, "I wouldn't have it any other way." The 3 of them left. Kakashi received a message from Kushina and forwarded it to Sarutobi, who nodded. Sarutobi got up and went to Ichiraku's himself, saying that a council meeting would be held the following morning to discuss matters that would be kept under wraps until then. The ramen stand in Ichiraku. Anko, Kushina, and Naruto had just arrived. "Hi, Tucci." An elderly man behind the counter glanced at Anko and Naruto as Kushina remarked, "It's been a while." "Oh, Kushina. What has it been? 4, 5 years? That kind of thing. I left as soon as I learned that my son was dead because I couldn't handle it." Tucci shuddered as Kushina said, "I finally realized that I was misinformed, and I happened to be willing to kill the one that told me that. I'm happy I didn't say that. Who are the children, by the way?" Tucci remarked, "One looks exactly like Minato." "I'm Naruto." Putting a hand on his head, Kushina said, "He found a friend in Anko over here," indicating Anko, "and they see each other as siblings. Even if she isn't my true daughter, he's my son." "Well, if you consider them family, so do I," Tucci said, glancing at both of them. "Do you want the standard?" "You might also want to give my son some miso ramen," Kushina said, nodding. "I think that's about average." Tucci nodded. "All right, 4 miso, 2 pork, and 1 vegetable ramen are on the way up." "You think you can make another pork for me?" Anko asked, glancing at them. Tucci gave a nod. "I got the news," said Sarutobi as he entered. "Kushina, he does have a point." Kushina said, "I know, that's why I told you that," without even glancing at him. "He won't be doing any physical training for some time, though. He still has a lot of other skills to learn. However, using shadow clones is somewhat unexpected, even given his age." "Don't I know it?" said Sarutobi, nodding. "I saw it for the first time just before you returned." Naruto raised his head and said, "I learned that from Akane. It has been really beneficial to my training." "It's unbelievable that she taught you that at such a young age," Sarutobi said, glancing at him. "Why would she bother?" Kushina simply nodded, saying, "I can understand why. Even though he is only 4 or 5 years old, he already possesses more chakra than the typical genin. The Uzumaki clan, I suppose. Actually, a few weeks back she said it was about average Chunin levels, without hers in the mix," replied Naruto. "I guess you can say I have a lot more chakra than most my age." Having just finished her last bowl of ramen, Kushina nodded and said, "I guess that's to be expected. Uzumaki clan members always have a high amount of chakra, and from what I know, so does the Namikaze clan," she said. "That must be related to that." "It makes sense," Tucci said, glancing at her. "Give me a call if you need anything else." After they all nodded, Sarutobi said, "Kushina, I've instructed Kakashi to inform the clan heads about tomorrow morning's council meeting. Until then, you should keep your arrival a secret. I want your arrival to make them completely terrified." "That makes it all the better," Kushina said, nodding. "I suspect that he will hint at something to Hikari and Mikoto. I can practically promise that they will come to you and ask you what the hell was going on, if he does." Bewildered, Naruto turned to face his mother. "Mom? They were my teammates and old friends when I was a genin. but until then, I'll continue to stay in the forest. You might want to share that small detail with Kotetsu and Izumo. Kushina grinned and remarked, I nearly took out Izumo's head for insulting my son. So, tomorrow at 0900, in the council's chambers, Sarutobi said, nodding. They will be unable to identify you because your faces will be hidden. With the possible exception of Heishi, but only if he employs the Byakugan. They all nodded, and Naruto wasn't shocked because he was already aware of the village's bloodlines. Well, I should go now. In addition, when do you anticipate Naruto attending the academy? Sarutobi inquired. No younger than 7 years of age. Anko and Naruto nodded in agreement. I take it you don't want me going all out during the academy. Don't want a genin so young, even though he'd be past Chunin at that point, Kushina said. Nodding, Kushina said, that's correct. The point of being a ninja is negated if you flaunt everything you own. A little arrogance is also displayed, which is never a good thing. Naruto nodded and said, I am aware of that. I heard the same thing from Akane-chan. Being arrogant and acting superior will ultimately lead to one's demise. Sarutobi and Kushina turned to face him. Akane really said that? As strong as she is? Naruto gave his mother a nod, saying, she has stated repeatedly that she knows the consequences of ignorance and conceit and despises them both with all of her heart. I occasionally ponder why she despises ignorance, but the thought always comes back to the people she must have been imprisoned with. With a nod, Kushina said, that makes sense. I'm going back into the woods. Would it be okay if he stayed at your house tonight, Anko? He seems at ease with you, and I'm sure you would accept it too. I'm just saying this for tonight, Naruto said, his eyes widening. She will be moving in with us tomorrow. For that, you can thank the Hokage. Until then, I still can't make my presence known. I will therefore have to remain in the forest. A voice behind her said, too late, Kushina. She didn't know how she missed them. Before leaving, she turned to face two of her closest friends and said, please, don't be mad at for leaving. Sarutobi had left during that conversation, but they both gave her hugs in front of Naruto and Anko. I have to be discreet about my arrival, girls. Also, I heard you couldn't adopt my son, Kushina remarked, adding, I want to surprise the council tomorrow morning, making them shake in their boots. The civilian council is to blame. He would have moved in with Shikaku or one of us if it weren't for them. You are aware of that, correct? A white-eyed woman spoke. I am aware of Hikari. I trust you two more than the rest of my friends. Both women smirked as Kushina remarked. I am a little mad at the village for attacking my son, but even more mad at Danzo for wanting to recruit him. That's exactly what I was going to propose. Do you know how to do it? That's something I intend to figure out, Makoto, said the woman with the raven hair and the onyx eyes. You'll have to wait and see what I think of if you want to be involved. I do recall Inoichi's telepathy jutsu. That way, I could provide you with the specifics. Both of them nodded. Kushina, I'm excited about it. Your only son has been wronged by that man. Makoto remarked, it's only natural that we'd want to help you out with this, and Hikari nodded. Well, I also need to include Kakashi. See where I'm getting at with this? Kushina remarked, what do you think would happen with all of that? We have 3 women and one of the most dangerous Junin in the village, and they are all mad at one person. Both Naruto and Anko's eyes were wide. Anko's because she knew that something so terrible would be difficult to fix, and Naruto's because Akane had warned him about how angry a woman can get, and he began to wince at the idea. Got to go, Naruto said. I'm sorry, mother. I will speak with you later. Scared as hell, Naruto fled. What went wrong for me there? Makoto and Hikari shrugged, and Kushina didn't ask anyone specifically. Thank you, Akane, said Anko, stepping forward. He is aware that a woman who is angry should not be near him. In particular, 3 enraged Kunoichi, who was capable of murder if provoked. Can you see where that originated? He could easily get hurt, mangled, or worse with just one mistake. Was that what he was thinking about? That's what I believe, at least, Makoto said, receiving a nod. However, he might have misunderstood it to mean that they are angry with everyone, not just him. As she started to leave, Anko remarked, I think I'll have to find out his reasons and let him know what should and shouldn't bother him. Don't you think Kushina will make a decent match for him in the future? Makoto inquired. They view each other as siblings, not friends, Kushina said, shaking her head. I would be shocked if they became more than just friends and she ended up dating him. With Anko right on top of his father's, the Yondaime, head, Anko had just landed on top of the Hokage stone faces. Naruto was sitting there, still a little frightened. Hey, Ni-san. What's the matter? Akane warned me about the dangers of a woman who is angry. My mother, who I know, would most likely murder anyone she was angry with. Naruto remarked. Left so I don't get caught in the crossfire. Anko, who was seated beside him, said, well, something you should know about that. That danger is only present if they are angry at you. That Danzo guy is the target of their ire. I'm pretty sure you won't make it through tomorrow's council. She is upset that he is pursuing you because you are her son. I'm positive that she won't pursue you. Naruto became much more composed. Thanks Chan. Avoid bringing it up. Do you want to go home or are you going to stay up here all night? With a nod in agreement, Anko said, it's getting late. Let's go now. When your mother is even slightly irate, you might want to stay away from her, but she wouldn't harm you unless it was directed at you. I'm positive of that. Naruto nodded, knowing that he was safe with Anko because he hadn't been attacked since he'd met her and been staying with her. That evening, people began knocking on the front door as Naruto and Anko were getting ready for bed. Naruto and Anko tensed, prepared for a fight, and the door was kicked open. Many villagers had arrived prepared to beat Naruto to death, but Anko was a bit quicker and knocked several of them out before Naruto struck a few more who pursued Anko. They didn't kill anyone, but they covered each other whenever they couldn't. After 5 minutes or so, there were about 20 bodies on the floor, all of them unconscious but not dead. Looking at their work, Anko said, Naruto, do you think we went overboard? No, I think they had it coming, Naruto said, panting. In addition, none of them are actually deceased. Anko nodded, saying, let's just tie them up and then take them to some trees in the nearby forests. I concur. Let's accomplish that. They all woke up about half an hour later to discover that they were strapped to a tree. A few of them saw Anko and said, that's what you get for messing with my family. We are fortunate that none of you were killed. Afterwards, Anko vanished from view. When they returned to the house, Naruto and Anko were laughing at their own faces. Their expressions were so precious. Naruto continued to laugh as he spoke. You know, said Anko, laughing, that was probably the most fun I've had in my life. Naruto saw that someone else was prepared to intervene before they entered the fight, so he stayed back until they had calmed down enough to speak normally and get some sleep. An Anbu wearing a dog mask grinned as he observed the house, saying, it appears that they are capable of taking care of themselves quite well. I will have to inform Kushina of this. Even so, Naruto's fighting style was a little unexpected. I think that's the Kitsune style that Akane told me about. A voice behind Kakashi said, and you'd be right on that, Kakashi. Naruto was standing directly behind him, and he didn't know who was there. I am aware that you were observing and on the verge of intervening. Naruto remarked, we proved to you that we are capable of caring for ourselves. Yes, I did observe. Danzo is the reason my mind isn't at ease yet. You understand why, don't you? With his mask still on, Kakashi said, and Naruto nodded. Anyway, that was only a little show for you to see. I thought we should demonstrate that to you, aside from the fact that Akane still needed to recover from the time we removed the mark from Anko. Nichan. Do you want me to tell your mother about this minor incident? Kakashi asked, nodding. You did handle it yourself, after all. Naruto shook his head. I don't believe that will be required. Any council members who are unable to attend tomorrow are presently confined in the forest to the south, Naruto stated. Well, I saw how well you worked together with Anko, Kakashi said, nodding. That was impressive. As though your brains were connected, you battled together. Would you mind telling me how? Naruto smirked. It's because we are. Akane set up a mental link for when the two of us are together, and the villagers attack either of us. This way, we can protect each other better, and also give them a pounding. Naruto's smirk widened. By the way, this is a shadow clone. He went poof, leaving a dazed Kakashi behind. As they slept, Kakashi continued to keep an eye out for an impending attack and remarked, okay, I seriously think Akane is a better teacher than even I am. The village council had convened and was patiently awaiting the Hokage. One of the civilian councilors exclaimed, where the hell is that old fool? Well, perhaps not so patiently. About a minute after that outburst, Sarutobi and two other people entered the room. One was notably smaller than the others, but the other three were entirely obscured. Sarutobi went to his house and took a seat. Only the leaders of the Uchiha and Hyuga clans knew that their wives lived there. This council will now convene. I have a few things to say this time around, and no one will interrupt. Fugaku Uchiha, the leader of the Uchiha clan, raised his voice. I believe it has to do with the two behind you? Sarutobi gave him a look. You are correct, Fugaku. I believe you wish to know who they are? Fugaku gave a headshake. My wife wanting to be here means I know full well who one of them are. As do I. In fact, I know who both of them are. The fact that both Hikari and Makoto are here, when they do not care much for council affairs, is proof that they already knew what was going to come. Heishi Hyuga, the head of the Hyuga clan. The others just gazed at both of them. Shikaku, the head of the Nara clan, inquired, "What do you mean?" Fugaku, Heishi, and their wives all grinned. You will see soon enough. Although, I do fear for the civilian councilors in the room. Aside from Ichiraku, of course. Ichiraku Tuchi gave a nod. I already know the full situation, as well. I'm not saying anything on the matter. I just know that I'm safe. Sarutobi gave a nod. Well then, I take it your wives found one of them before they could find a good spot. The eyes of Shuza Akamichi, Inoichi Yamanaka, and Shikaku Nara were wide. Although Shibi Aburame was expressionless, a few drops of perspiration appeared on his face. A telepathic message had just reached Inoichi. It's just as you suspect, Inoichi, and it has been a while. You know who I am, and the one next to me is my son. Little word of warning though. Don't say anything on this matter. It will be revealed soon enough. Allow Inoichi's eyes to widen if they can. No, has Kushina returned? She also has a son, right? Yes, I am, and yes I do. That is also the reason that, aside from Tsuki Ichiraku, the civilian council has to fear my blade. Danzo is not getting off the hook, no matter what, for wanting to turn my son into a mindless, emotionless drone. Hence why Makoto and Hikari are here, along with Kakashi, but he is in his Anbu mask. As it turned out, Kakashi was also present, albeit in a dog mask. All right, Kushina. I feel sorry for Danzo. He has a destiny worse than death. Still, I'm curious about what you thought of. Shall I wait or ask? Wait and see. Also, there is more to this meeting than that. In fact, 3 points will be made, just to rub it in the face of the council. Danzo is going to die after that. People turned their heads to look at Inoichi, who visibly cringed. He was approached by numerous clan heads, both shinobi and civilians. Sarutobi, Heishi, Hikari, Makoto, and Fugaku all merely grinned. The elders even looked at him. Most of them had the question on their minds when Shikaku asked it. What did you find out, Inoichi? Shikaku and Shuza just stared at him without saying anything. I'm not gonna say everything, but I will say that some of the people in here will not leave this room alive. I know one for a fact won't. Shikaku gave Shuza a look. I think I figured out who both of the hooded ones are, and the civilian councilors are in massive trouble for what they did to the one of them. Inoichi gave a cold sweaty nod. The councilors who were civilians turned to Shikaku. Danzu's eye appeared to widen. He recently came to the realization that he had made a grave error during the previous 4 years. Fearfully, he glanced at the taller hooded figure. Sarutobi smirked as he turned to face the council. The taller figure removed her hood and the mask that concealed her face, saying, well, I believe that, since the shinobi clans have figured out who one of them is, I believe that will have her reveal herself. However, the council was not prepared for what they witnessed. Anger, hatred, and murderous intent. Most of you know me as the Red Death. A few of the civilians in here may call me your executioner. Before that happens, I'll give you a chance to explain yourselves for attacking my son, Kushina said in a cold voice. Danzo stood frozen in place. He was well aware of who it was and that he would die immediately. The clan heads of shinobi gazed at her in disbelief. Except for Heishi and Fugaku. They were certain that they were safe and knew exactly who she was pursuing. The others just sat there frozen in place. They remained motionless. One of them was so rude as to shout at her. That counselor had lost his head as a result of Kushina's sword. What the hell are you talking about? The only one to ever be attacked in this village is a demon that has no page. The civilian council was terrified when Kushina said, anyone else want to call my son a demon? One more had the audacity to raise their voice. Kushina Uzumaki is responsible for another person losing their head. Why would someone like you give birth to one such as that? Sarutobi shouted, Kushina, that's enough, to get her attention. Sarutobi, you know full well how the Uzumaki clan treats their family. I will not stand by and let them insult my son by calling him a demon in my presence. They have no idea what he truly is, and that makes me sick. The council was simply staring at her. She wasn't joking, as everyone who knew who she was knew. Danzo was on the verge of bolting. You're not going anywhere, Danzo. Danzo abruptly stopped. For even thinking about turning my son into a mindless, emotionless drone, you're not getting off the hook like some of the civilians in here might. If the visible eyes of Makoto, Hikari, and Kakashi didn't convey that they were prepared for a fight, then nothing would. Shikaku said what everyone was thinking while glancing at Makoto and Hikari. Everyone who wasn't completely terrified turned to face him and said, "Well, Danzo's a goner." Two powerful dujutsu from two females active at the same time, at the mention of what he has done. If that's not enough proof he's been made a target of the only successful full kunoichi squad in all of Konoha's history, I don't know what is. A younger voice said something. The person with the hood still on said, "Actually, make that 3 people with a powerful dujutsu." The other one in a mask also has his active, it's just hidden behind the mask. This means Danzo has 3 extremely pissed off kunoichi, and one of the most dangerous ninja in the village after his head. The young hooded figure caught Sarutobi's attention. "Why don't you reveal yourself as well?" "With pleasure." The figure pulled off his mask and hood. "Before you take to calling me the demon brat, remember my mother's words earlier. Even if I've only known her for less than a day, I know that when someone insults her family, they will die, and she will carry it out herself. I also know who is after Danzo for wanting to turn me into one of his weapons. In fact, all 4 of them are here," Naruto said with a determination that dwarfed Kushina's warnings. Shikaku, Heishi, and Fugaku gave him curious looks. However, Heishi was the first to speak. "I should have known it was you. If anything, I'm a little surprised that you were her son." With a confident yet perilous tone, Hikari stated, "I'm not. In fact, I knew before any of the others did. Aside from Makoto and the Anbu over there." Sarutobi examined the ones that were mentioned. "I take it you want his head on a platter?" Kushina raised his voice. With the exception of Danzo, everyone winced at the remark, "Try a golden platter. A silver one just won't cut it for me." Naruto interrupted Danzo as he was about to summon his root troops. "Hey, Mom. If he calls his root shinobi, mind if go after them as well? I'd like a piece of the action, as does Akane." For a moment, Kushina's anger vanished as she gazed at him in surprise. Why not? It would make for great training. Danzo was frightened at once. "Root, get out here now." A number of shinobi entered and prepared to strike. As Naruto assumed his stance, his eyes changed from cerulean to red. While Hikari, Kushina, Makoto, and Kakashi gazed at the jerk who wanted to turn Naruto into a weapon, the shinobi heads turned to face Naruto. In terror, the civilian counselors hid behind their chairs. When Sarutobi turned to face Naruto, he saw that he had total control over it. Danzo yelled, "Attack!" Hikari and Makoto pursued the root ninja, while Kakashi and Kushina pursued Danzo. Occasionally, Naruto joined them in creating shadow clones. One of Naruto's blows broke bones or ripped flesh apart. A few of Naruto's swipes tore off a limb that would have otherwise gone unnoticed. As they watched Naruto, the shinobi in the room attempted to avoid the angry kunoichi's blows. The target had a scratch or a missing limb, regardless of whether Naruto missed with a kick, punch, or swipe. Sarutobi was interestedly observing Naruto's battle. All he could think of was, if Guy were here, he'd be in awe at Naruto's taijutsu. Makoto, Naruto, and Hikari were rapidly reducing the number of root ninja. As the host of Akane, the Kyuubi no Kitsune, Naruto possesses the Kitsune-style taijutsu, shadow clones, and an enormous amount of stamina. Makoto, the Uchiha clan's Raven Princess and skilled Sharingan user. One of the few people who has mastered the Byakugan is Hikari Hyuga, a reserved but quiet Juken user. It goes without saying that the root ninja were defeated rather easily. Naruto didn't use Akane's Yuki or much chakra himself. He didn't appear to be winded, and there was no cloak. Hikari, Makoto, and Naruto turned to face Danzo. To everyone's surprise, Naruto remained composed. "Hey, girls. I think we should torture him to get everything else he's hiding out of him. I know trying to turn me into his weapon would want you to kill him, but he could be hiding more than that," Naruto said in a gentle voice. Hikari and Makoto gazed at him. "What do you have in mind, Naruto?" Kushina retreated from Danzo as Naruto remarked, "Well, I'm not good at interrogation, but I think Akane could do a lot better than Ibiki Morino himself." Kushina said, "Well, then, let's do it her way, shall we?" Naruto approached Danzo. "Here's a little trick we call Kitsune Nightmare Realm." Naruto's eyes widened even more, and he shot a pulse directly at Danzo, causing him to pass out. Everyone's eyes were on Naruto. He's not dead, not yet. Akane will make sure that he survives. The Nightmare Realm of Kitsune Danzo found himself in what could only be described as hell. Right in front of him, in what appeared to be a huge cave with lava flowing in rivers everywhere, was a woman with 9 fox tails flowing behind her. Additionally, black flames loomed directly in front of the cave's walls. Welcome, Danzo, to the Kitsune Nightmare Realm. I could say this place will be a safe haven for you, but I'd be lying. You have over 120 hours to admit everything you have done, or be tortured during the entire time, by me and several others. Ah, here they come now. The fiend appeared and landed to Danzo's left, resembling a giant skeleton if you know you. Gi. Oh, think summoned skull, only bigger and with blood-red bones. Swooping down to Danzo's right was a black dragon with 3 heads and 4 wings high-level members in RuneScape. Imagine the KBD with 4 wings and you got a good picture. Behind Danzo, 3 story giants that appeared to be made of fire appeared. An unidentified force tied Danzo down. Meet the Lord of Fiends, Gonta, Black Dragon Elder, Bunta, and Fire Giant Lords, Kume and Sakai. Along with me, Akane Kitsune, heir to the Kitsune clan. Anything you'd like to say before we begin your long hours of torture? Akane was spat at by Danzo. Wrong choice. Sakai and Kume transformed their arms into cannons and hurled several lava blasts directly at Danzo. He let out a painful scream. Fuck you. Bunta? Asked Akane. With all 3 jaws open, Bunta unleashed lightning from his left jaw, ice from his middle, and fire from his right. Together, they formed a single beam that struck Danzo square in the face. Danzo let out an even louder scream than before. A.N. The Sasuke fan club in canon was nearly at its peak. Akane poked a finger into her ear to remove some wax. How about now? We could go for this the entire time you're here. Danzo's breathing was labored. Fine, I'll talk. Oh come on, shouted Gonta. Akane said, you'll get your shot later, Gonta. Gonta gave a sigh. After 30 minutes, Danzo had finished speaking. You lied on a few points, Gonta? Gonta threw lightning into his hands and aimed them at Danzo, saying, finally, Raiden, twin lightning cannons. Danzo was struck by lightning bolts fired from both arms. The pain he screamed had just gotten worse. Danzo let out a groan. Akane shot some fire at him, healing him enough to speak, saying, you're not dying on us yet, Danzo. I told you. Everything I know. Bullshit. Shouted Bunta. Akane gave a nod. You're in league with both Orochimaru and Madara Uchiha. We want to know why, so talk. I told you. Everything I know. He didn't tell me anything else. Danzo replied. On that final sentence, Akane discovered he was telling the truth. And that invasion? I have told you everything. I do not know of Madara's involvement in it. With the intention of hitting him, Bunta questioned, what about that little gang called Akatsuki? Still weak, Danzo responded, I have no information on members. It is growing, only S-class rogues can join. The leader? Inquired Kume. He is known only as Pain. That's all I know aside from him being hailed as a god in Hidden Rain. He is telling the truth there. Knowing Madara, though, he is the true leader, using Pain as a front. Akane replied. The other 4 give a nod. Gonta said, can I get one more shot at him? Why not? God knows he's gonna have hell to pay when he gets put back in his body, Akane replied. Gonta remarked, oh boy. I'm gonna enjoy this. You're not getting it all, Gonta. Kume and I are getting another shot at him. Bunta, you up for another round of the try? Breath? Sakai asked. You think I'm too old to do this? Oh come on, I could fire 20 more one right after another, Bunta replied. Entering her demonic state, Akane said, you know what? I'll join you in this. Raiden. Twin lightning cannons. Kaden. Fox flame blast. Kaden. Twin flare cannons. Kaden. Twin flare cannons. Try. Element breath. Danzo screamed louder than ever after being struck 5 times from 4 different directions. That scream would have split the Hokage monument in half from 10 miles away, bursting the ears of anyone who isn't deaf or in a deaf-like state, and it might have even woken up a few dead people. Fortunately, he is no longer in Konoha. That's more like it. I'll play this back to the village council, and allow him to die in his own body. I guess that's enough for now. Akane replied. The others gave a nod. You mind if the one that sent him here summon me if his life's in danger? Asked Gonta. I've been bored as of late. Akane gave him a look. I'll think about it. If the time comes, we'll bring you out. However, you'd only have a few targets, and a lot more to protect if it does come to that. As long as I can enjoy myself, that's fine with me, Gonta said. I'll be waiting. Everyone went out. All right, Danzo. Time to bring you back to your body for your execution. Konoha Village Council Chambers. Danzo had just been transported to the Kitsune Nightmare Realm by Naruto. Everyone's eyes were on him. He was asked a question by Shikaku. What did you just do? With Akane Kitsune's help, the one you know as the Kyuubi no Yoko, I sent him to the Kitsune Nightmare Realm. His body was left behind, but his mind and soul were both sent there. Akane is performing the interrogation there. Naruto stated, shocking everyone. Akane and I are somewhat good friends, and has no hatred to the village at this point. However, anyone that attacks me is angering her. This means you not only have my mother to worry about, you also have an angry Kitsune on your tail. Not a good combination. Kushina gave him a look. Are you really willing to tell them that? Naruto gave a nod. Naruto turned back to the council and said, it's a good idea for them to know the Akane is not a threat unless they kill me before I'm supposed to die. However, you're going to need to know the full story of what happened that day. Along with how Akane felt about it. I will say she was pissed that day, though not at the village. No, the one she was pissed at has put her under a genjutsu not once, but twice. Many people's eyes grew wide. Shikaku gave him a look. Then who was she mad at? Or do I even want to know? Naruto let out a sigh. It was someone who was reported killed by the Shoden. Madara Uchiha. That Sharingan of his influenced her bloodlust both times. From her point, the Shoden managed to release the genjutsu on her the first time around. With no one to free her from it this time, she was forced to attack that which she protects. She is not a mindless beast, as I have found out. If the emotion wean she speaks his name as anything to go by. Madara is the only person she considers a threat. She knows he'll be after her again. For that reason, and a few others that Kakashi and my mother know, she has decided to train me in the ways of the Kitsune. Inoichi gave him a smile. Inoichi, I know you're reading my mind. You can easily find out if what I'm saying is the truth or not, unless she were here herself. She would force you out, unless I let you in. He just gave a nod. I realize that. In fact, I'm surprised at all of what she told you. Everything she's taught you so far, is far above the level when your age is supposed to be. Also, the Kitsune Taijutsu style is a lot better than anything that our own Taijutsu specialist can cook up. Inoichi continued. Naruto gave a nod. I know. Thing is, what you saw in me earlier was only an adept at the style. A master of that style is far more dangerous. In fact, I was only using the basics for it. None of the advanced moves I already know, which isn't much, mind you. I have a long way to go to master it, and you already saw how devastating it was with an adept at it. Shikaku raised his voice. If you are only an adept at it, why did you even want to do that? It couldn't have been training. While his mother gave him a stern look, Naruto remarked, experience, and a test for myself. I guess you could call it a field test. He winced when Kushina said, you do realize what would have happened if you slipped up, do you not? Sorry, Mom. Still, Akane and I were working together on that, so if I slipped up, she would correct it in a millisecond. That was one of the reasons they got cut after a wide enough dodge. That was her making the corrections. You could say we were working together the entire time. Naruto replied. Shikaku gave a nod. Okay, this nightmare realm. How does it work? Naruto gave a shrug. The Kitsune Nightmare Realm is about as much of a mystery to me as it is to you at this point. One only knows the full details if one or more of the following conditions are met. Akane is currently not here. She is there with him, most likely with a few others as well. After she is finished, she will be brought back to the seal, and Danzo should be returned to his body. 1. You yourself are a Kitsune. 2. You have fully utilized it for yourself. 3. It has been used against you. That's about all I have to say about it. Regretfully, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, I don't fit into any of those categories. Inoichi gave a nod. Naruto turned to him and said, I have one more question. Why did you let her train you in the first place? I may be able to figure it out myself, but I'm sure the council will want to hear it from you. Living a life like I have so far, you learn when people are lying to you. Not once did she lie to me that day. She even figured I wouldn't believe her back then. When I could tell she wasn't lying, I told her, and she shed a tear. If someone said demons are heartless, they lied. Akane obviously has one, as the events that day proved. Besides, even if she wasn't in control that day, she still wants to make up for it. Although, she does want Madara dead. After failing to kill him once, and being controlled by him again, wouldn't you want to kill him? Asked Naruto. The majority of them exchanged glances while some spoke and others remained silent. Sarutobi gave Naruto a look. He was shocked, but it didn't register on his face. Naruto, I have one last question for you. Naruto gave him a look. Not like I haven't already answered too many questions, but fire away. Why do you wish to get rid of Madara in Akane's stead? If there's one thing in my life that I'm curious about, it's that. Naruto gazed thoughtfully. You know, I haven't really thought much on that. Although, now that I think about it, I'd say it's because he's a threat to the peace, and causes nature to go out of whack. Living for as long as he has is just not natural. If there is a way he can be stopped, Akane and I will find it, and we will do so, together. Naruto stiffened. Akane? Yes, I'm back. I got all the information I can get out of him. Do you mind if I cast the other world genjutsu to show them? Alright, hold on. Kushina gave him a look. Sweetie? Akane just got back. She's going to show everyone the interrogation through a genjutsu she actually taught me. Something I can only do because of her, said Naruto. Danzo moaned from behind them. You won't have to worry about him trying to escape. His mind and soul are not completely in one piece. You'll find out why soon. Naruto demonstrated several hand signals. Otherworld jutsu, Danzo and A9. Tailed, half-fox, half human creature were in the cave that had been transformed into the village council room. Immediately next to Naruto, a red head emerged from a glow. Akane? Apparently, when we cast the jutsu at the same time, I appear next to you. I'll explain what's going on here. This genjutsu can play a memory of anyone, or even be used to change a room into anything else. It won't wear off on its own normally. If it's playing a memory, no one can interfere with the events that happen. However, if that is the case, it will dispel the moment the memory is complete, or if the caster ends it early. Akane continued. Naruto gave a nod. Naruto remarked, just watch and you'll see. Only Inoichi saw that Danzo appeared to be extremely afraid. Inoichi concluded that the best way to understand why he was so afraid would be to watch the memory. It took nearly an hour for the memory to fade. The space reverted to the previous council chamber. Everyone in the room glanced at Danzo and then at Naruto. Sarutobi appeared in rage. 2 counts of treason, 4 counts of conspiracy, 1 count of attempted murder on a civilian, and several thousand counts of kidnapping? Anbu? Kushina gave Sarutobi a look. Sarutobi glanced at her and said, no, leave the Anbu out of this. I said I would take him out, and I intend to. Naruto, Kakashi, Hikari, and Makoto moved to stand next to her. Hikari said, you're not doing this alone, Kushina. Remember, we had a plan. At that point, Makoto declared, we're going to help out. Kakashi chose to speak as well. You're not stopping us for this, and now we have more reason to do so. Then Naruto also spoke up. I got a score to settle as well. He's the one who tipped off Madara in the first place. That gives me an incentive to help out. Kushina grinned. Is there any long-range jutsu she taught you? Naruto grinned. With his palm facing Danzo, Naruto extended his hand and said, I thought you'd never ask. A sphere was formed by black energy. I'm ready. Shikaku was intrigued. Inoichi was aware of that. What the devil was he doing? Sarutobi wondered. The other 5 members of that group practiced a few hand signals. Fuden. Wind Cyclone Spear, by Kakashi. Sweden. Liquid Bullet, by Kushina. Kaden. Fire Dragon Jutsu, said Makoto. 8 trigrams. Air Palm, by Hikari. Hijutsu. Gravity Cannon, says Naruto. Danzo was struck by the 5 jutsu all at once, destroying his body. Considering that there was an explosion, the shockwave was surprisingly absent. The first person to inquire about it was Shikaku. Panting, Naruto turned to face him. The gravity cannon. After it hit, it made a barrier around it, effectively erasing the shockwave when it reached the barrier. Now, if you don't mind, I'll pass out now. Naruto fell and was captured by Kushina. Looks like he's exhausted a lot of his chakra. I'll take him home. One of the counselors who were civilians said, no need. The other civilian counselors nodded in agreement, saying, my opinion of him changed after what he managed to get out of that guy. Plus, with him being your son, no one would dare attack him, lest they wish to die. Another nod. Kushina grinned. Sarutobi, why don't you let them know the other reasons for calling this meeting? More specifically, what he did yesterday. One of those topics has basically been made public when I cut off a few heads. Another is basically useless, and the final one. That one was just to rub it in their face at first. Now, I think it will just solidify the fact he's useful for this village, and can help out in more ways than one. Sarutobi gave a nod. Everyone turned to face him and asked, you are all familiar with Anko Midarashi, are you not? Fugaku gave him a look. Why do you ask? Naruto Uzumaki, along with Akane, has gotten rid of the last connection between her and Orochimaru. That mark is gone, as are any effects it brought. Kushina gave him a look. The only thing she has in common with that bastard now is their fighting style and summons. That's it. Sarutobi glanced at her. Sarutobi sarcastically questioned. Well, he can't change that, now can he? Kushina laughed. With Naruto in her hands, Kushina shunshined out, saying, well, we're out. The Hokage caught everyone's attention. Kakashi raised his voice. Lord Hokage, I have one more thing that may be a good idea to be brought up. Everybody looked at him. I have seen Akane, and she does have an alias for him, should he need it. Kitsune Warrior is the one she came up with, however, should he take it, is up to him. They all whispered to one another. Everybody gave a nod. The Hokage was impressed as well. Coming up with an alias for him to use if he wishes, she is clever. Shikaku gave a nod. She's a kitsune. They're pranksters by nature, meaning they have to be clever. I just hope she doesn't have him do a few pranks. After giving him a look, everyone nodded. Sarutobi gave a nod. Nobody raised their voice, saying, if no one else has something to say. Sarutobi concluded, this council is dismissed. With his masks on, Kakashi smiled. A.N. He is wearing 3 masks. 2 of them cover the lower half of his face, and the third covers the entire face. With the exception of Sarutobi and Kakashi, everyone left the room. Lord Hokage, do you think he will take the nickname? Sarutobi answered, I don't know, myself. We will have to wait and see. 5 days later. 3 days ago, Hiruzen Sarutobi informed the village about Naruto's ancestry, preventing any potential attacks on him from the village. Naruto had been recuperating rather than training. He was exhausted from the battle he engaged in. Using the gravity cannon was the last straw. He now realizes that using the gravity cannon was a bad idea after a fight like that. When Naruto awoke, he was in a hospital room. He was just sleeping, not bandaged. When he awoke, Kushina was there. How are you feeling, sweetie? Like I was beat half to death, except without the after pain. How long was I out? Replied Naruto. 5 days. I was worried, you know. That gravity cannon jutsu you used. Why did you use it? Kushina responded. My only long-range attack. I know it doesn't use much chakra, but after that long battle, and using 2 more jutsu that would probably make Chunin pass out after using it at full strength, not really a good idea. If not for Akane, I would have died after using the first one. I already knew that, but I thought I still had enough for 1 gravity cannon. I guess it wasn't that good of an idea, replied Naruto. With tears in her eyes, Kushina said, you could have died. Do you know how much I was worried? I know how worried you were. Regardless of the fact I was unconscious, I could still hear everything. I'm surprised he told every one of my parents. Then again, I do think it was somewhat necessary. What was their reaction? I could see that many of them had expressions like, what the hell? But some were even worse than that. A few people passed out. Hikari's eldest daughter was one of them. She's so much like her mother was at her age. Still, she has little self-confidence. I talked about it to Hikari, and we came up with a bit of a solution. That won't be happening for a while though, so I won't bore you with the details now. Kushina continued. Naruto questioned, if you think I could help, why wouldn't I want to? It's not that, but you're close. The only thing keeping us from doing so is the Hyuga Council. The majority of them still don't like you. Some of them didn't believe the announcement. Naruto raised an eyebrow and said, I'm guessing you want to get rid of a few of them? Kushina gave a headshake. That wouldn't help one bit, but I will say the thought crossed my mind. In the end, I decided against that. Even I have some self-control. Hikari, on the other hand, is another story. She already went after one of them. He's not dead, but he's lost a few things he would consider precious. She went after his family. That's just wrong. Kushina gave a headshake. You're right on it being wrong, but know what she took from him. Every Hyuga male cherishes. His jewels, and eyes. He was kicked out of the clan after that. Naruto laughed. What? Naruto continued to laugh and remarked, nothing, it's just funny that a member of the Hyuga clan cares about me enough to torture their own clan members. Kushina burst out laughing. Just then, Sarutobi, Mikoto, and Hikari came in. The latter said something. I see you're awake, young Naruto. Don't ask me how I feel, because it hasn't changed since mom asked that, aside from the laughs she got out of me. Naruto replied. After giving him a nod, Sarutobi turned to face Kushina. What made him laugh? Kushina smiled and said, Hikari's reaction to the Hyuga Council. Hikari gave them both a look. Why would he laugh at that? It's funny that you would choose me over your own clan members, and even get them kicked out because they didn't agree with whatever it was you wanted, though I have a feeling it has something to do with me, Naruto replied. So, Naruto, why did you finish him off like you did, if you knew you were gonna collapse afterwards? Makoto responded. I didn't think I used that much chakra beforehand. Still, I am only 4, so I guess it's to be expected after a fight like that and 2 powerful jutsu, regardless of the fact it only uses up a small amount of chakra. My body just couldn't take it. If not for Akane, I would have passed out after the Kitsune Nightmare Realm was used. Naruto replied. I've still got a lot to learn. Even with my chakra control so far, I can't say I have complete control over it. Everybody in the room nodded. Hey, old man, I have a favor to ask. Kushina and Sarutobi gazed at him. Once I get out of here, I think my mom and I should head out on a training trip for a few months. I think it would be better if I train elsewhere, and see new things, keep surprises for the village when I get back. Hikari and Makoto stared at him in disbelief. Sarutobi simply had a perplexed expression. Kushina just grinned. As the others in here are wondering the same thing. Why would you want to do that? I find that I learn better by doing than by listening to an explanation. What better way to do that than outside the village? Was his response. Kushina just gave a nod. Just like his father. I also think Kakashi should come with us. He could teach Naruto a few things as well. Things I never could. Sarutobi gave Kushina a look. You don't seriously think that it would be a good idea, do you? Kushina gave a nod. I'd be with him, and he still fears me. Once word reaches them that Minato had a son, they will be after him. With me in the area, it's not going to be easy to get to him. With Kakashi there as well. You could say he's obviously set. Besides, Kakashi is one of the only ones that knows how to use the Rasengan. Aside from Minato and Kakashi, the only other one to be able to master it was Jiraiya. Both of which are close to our family, so you can see how it would be. Sarutobi let out a sigh. I think I can indulge a request such as that. No longer than a year though. Naruto gave a nod. That should be more than enough. I want to be able to hit the academy when the others my age do. I still know that I'd be holding back during that time, though. I've got a lot to learn, but I do learn fast, as I've found out. Makoto gave a nod. I don't think the council will like this, though. Naruto remarked, well, they can shove it. I need to work on a lot of things, and perfect what I have as well. If you tell them it's so I can better protect the village, they shouldn't have any problems. Everyone smirked as they gazed at him. Kushina grinned more broadly than the others did. I figured you'd say something like that. Like your father, you don't care for the council much. Same as me, actually. So, Hiruzen, what do you say? Sarutobi continued to grin. I can't believe I'm saying this, but he does make several good points. You and Kakashi will be doing this as an A-rank mission, as requested by myself. That should be more than enough for this. I have a feeling that we'll keep them quiet about it after that. Kushina let out a moan. Sarutobi laughed and said, please don't tell me I have to use my old Anbu mask. Don't worry, neither of you do. This would not be an Anbu mission, thus the masks will not be needed. Oh, and if you run into Tsunade, or Jiraiya, smack Jiraiya if he's being a pervert again, or knock some sense into Tsunade. I'll make that a secondary objective that is also optional. If I run into either of them, I intend to do just that. Tsunade will be coming back with me, without a doubt. I'll make sure of that, Kushina replied. Sarutobi gave a nod. That's what we'll do then. An A-rank training mission consisting of you and Kakashi. It will be two-fold. Primary objective is to train Naruto Uzumaki, while secondary objective is to bring Tsunade back. Jiraiya is more useful to the village outside the walls. Methods of training is up to you. Results of the training will not be revealed until you and Kakashi deem it time. Kushina gave a nod. Since we'll have to wait until he is discharged, the mission will start the day after that. Is that good enough? Everybody gave a nod. Also, he will need to make a few friends his age, so if anyone would be a good candidate I could have them come here before you leave. Kushina grinned. Thanks, but I don't think that will be necessary. I don't think he will be in here for more than 2 more days. Knowing Akane, she's going to want him up and about as soon as possible. That's why he's up already. Naruto gave a nod. That's why I don't feel that exhausted right now. Also, while I was unconscious, I was meditating in my mindscape. That might have a few things to do with my recovery, as well. Kushina glanced at him. Your chakra levels are almost up to normal levels, and Akane still has a ways to go. Aside from that, he's good. Naruto gave a nod. I still can't get up. My chakra levels may be good, but it was my body that was exhausted, so that would explain why I can't move easily right now. Sarutobi gave a nod. Then, Naruto, you'll need some sleep. Naruto closed his eyes and began to snore. Kushina, you should leave him be, and let Anko see him for now. I was never against Anko coming to see him in the first place. It was everyone else that didn't like the idea. Kushina said quietly. Sarutobi gave a nod. Well, I'll let her know then. You should get everything ready while she waits in here, should she want to. I'm surprised you haven't moved into the old Namikaze estate yet. As the others departed, Kushina remarked, we'll discuss that later. Let my son sleep. He's trying to do so now. Kushina sat on the floor and began to meditate, saying, sleep tight my son. The following day both his mother and Anko were in the room meditating when Naruto woke up in the same bed as before. When Naruto attempted to get up, he discovered that his mobility had significantly improved from the previous day. He climbed out of bed, punched a couple of times, and looked around. He leapt up and performed a backflip. He fell silently to the ground. However, Kushina and Anko opened their eyes when they saw that he was moving. Anko said, I see you're fine, Ni-san. When Naruto answered, he didn't even glance at her. Yeah, I'm just making sure I'm back to normal so I can start training as soon as I can. Kushina gave him a look. Well, you aren't just going to learn fighting during this trip, but other ninja arts as well. You know that, right? Naruto let out a sigh. Yeah, Mom. I know. This will help me out a lot more than I could get here. I'm sorry we'd have to leave you behind Anko. Ni-chan. Anko nodded. It's alright. I understand that this is more family matter than I could be a part of. Naruto gave her a direct look. That isn't it, and you know it. You may not be blood, but we are family. Besides, someone has to be in the village that I know I can trust. Right now, you are among those few. Besides, unlike you, I am not a ninja yet. This means I have more leeway than you do. Anko gave him a tearful, happy look. Oh, Naruto. Ni-san. Don't worry about it, Anko. Ni-chan. Anyway, aren't you going for special Junin? After all, you and I are the only ones that are on good terms with the Forest of Death. Naruto responded by nodding. You don't want me to give that up, just to go with you? You really are better than they always said, Anko replied. Naruto gave her a smile. I knew you would get that pretty fast. You're not stupid like most say you are. You're not evil, either. You just had an idiotic bastard for a sensei, and they treated you like trash because of what he did. If word hasn't gotten out about Danzu's involvement with Orochimaru, it will soon. Also, Akatsuki should not be a threat just yet. They haven't made any drastic moves according to what he said. Anko was beaming with pride. Then she understood his opening two phrases. He interrupted her as she was about to ask him. I hear a lot more than most think. You could say I was listening in for things about you, and what I heard would normally make me want to kill them. Still, I knew that if I did, I'd be proving their point that I was a demon, even though I know full well I'm not. Anko put her hand down prior to asking her query. Kushina grinned. Well, once the hospital discharges you, which will probably be today, the next day is when we leave for the trip. It will give us time to pack up. I have a few things I'll need to get before anything else. I've been in here the whole time, not really leaving the room, unless it is to use the restroom, of course. Anko gave a nod. That she has. I'm actually a little worried about her well-being. She did skip a few meals, after all. Kushina laughed nervously. Anko simply gazed at her and said, yeah, well, it comes with being a mother. My son's well-being comes before my own. When you have a child yourself, you'll know what I mean. Anko shrugged. In any case, should I let the doctors know? Naruto gave a nod. I'm in good condition right now, and Akane is currently trying to figure out anything else that's wrong. So far, nothing. Anko went to get a doctor, and Kushina and Anko nodded. Naruto-kun, I finished checking everything. You're good in all areas. Could do better down there, though, but nothing could cause that right now. Hey, you're only 4 years old, after all. Naruto was embarrassed by this. Observing the flush, Kushina arched an eyebrow at him. Nervously, Naruto said, I'd rather not say. Kind of personal. The other eyebrow of Kushina went up. She didn't. She did. I still don't get why she tied that into the check, but hey. I can't complain, can I? Said Naruto. She could have left the part about those out, you know, Kushina replied. Akane laughed to himself. I know, I just wanted to mess with ya, it worked. Ah, shut it. Naruto remarked. I really wish she didn't have to tease me about that. Kushina grinned. Prankster by nature, vixen by heart. That is the way she's always been. Both Kushina and Naruto sighed. Kushina snickered as Naruto said exactly what she had said. Well, at least everything is good right now. Naruto, I think she has a thing for you. Naruto gave her a questioning glance. Still laughing, Kushina shook her head and asked, do I even want to know? No, I suppose not. As Anko entered with the doctor, Naruto remarked, then let's leave it at that. Kushina stepped up and signed it, saying, well then, it seems everything is in order. You just have to sign here, and that will be all. I'm his mother, so I can do this. The physician nodded. Alright, you're good to go. Naruto. Try to avoid exhausting yourself. Don't really want to see you in here again. Naruto laughed. I'm not so sure about that. Given the three that will be teaching me for a while, I can't really say everything will be sunshine and daisies. Kushina and Anko both nodded. Naruto looked at Anko and nodded as Kushina said, come on, Swaichi. Let's get something to eat. Yes, Anko is coming too. Anko stated, we already decided on where to go. Naruto questioned, did you decide? Or did mom? Kushina was pointed at by Anko. Naruto's smile widened as he said, she decided, but not what I thought she would. Not saying I don't like choice, in fact I love it. We're going to Dango shop. Naruto hurried to the door and said, then let's go. Don't want to keep them waiting, do we? He was caught by Anko and Kushina, who laughed at his antics. After 5 minutes, they arrived at the Dango shop. Hey, Anko. I heard you went over to Ichiraku's a few days back, didn't think I'd see you again. Anko gave him a look. Did you really think I'd forget about your Dango, Onimaru? It is the best out there. Onimaru laughed. Usual. Kushina nodded when Anko said, actually, make it 12. Not sure how much Kushina would eat. Naruto turned to face his mom. You do realize she means trays, right? Kushina scrutinized him. I'll take that as a no. Before long, 12 trays of dango were placed in front of them. Anyway, let's have a seat. Anko, who was already devouring dango, exclaimed, don't hold back. Dig in. Naruto was also consuming some. All Kushina did was look at them. She began to eat some and discovered why they consumed it so quickly. This is really good. She began to eat more quickly. The entire process was completed in less than 10 minutes. I didn't think dango could ever taste this good. I mean, it's about as good as Tuchi's ramen. My ramen was a little better than his, but not by much. Still, as dango, this is definitely the best I've ever tasted. Kushina replied. Anko gave a nod. Tell me about it. If I want ramen, I go Ichiraku's. If I want dango, I'm here. They're both in a league of their own. Naruto gave that a nod. I'd have to agree with you too there. I'd easily say they're on par with each other. Onimaru gave them a look. To his surprise, Anko and Kushina asked, what would you guys say if we teamed up and combined our menus? When Naruto saw this, he quickly learned what they would think. I think that would make them both happy beyond belief. 2 great restaurants combined into one is what I'm thinking on that. They'd probably both be in heaven every time they went in, Naruto replied. Onimaru merely grinned. While Kushina and Anko were off exploring their own little worlds, Naruto nodded and said, well then, I'll talk to him about it. Maybe exchange recipes while we're at it. Share profits. Recipes. Basically have the same shop in 2 places. That would make for easier access, wouldn't it? Naruto slapped his mother and Anko on the head and said, well, I guess I better get them back to Earth. Are you 2 done fantasizing now? Both Anko and Kushina gave him a death glare. Looking at him, Onimaru said, sorry? You might want to run, Naruto. Naruto was on the verge of passing out when he said, you don't need to tell me twice. Anko and Kushina exchanged glances. Anko smirked as she said, he fell for it. That he did, Anko. I think he'll think twice about hitting us on the heads. Onimaru's throat cleared. You do realize you were ignoring everything else, right? They gave him a questioning glance. He chose to go into more detail. You were fantasizing about what would happen if Tuchi and I combined our shops. After your compliments to both, one would think you'd be fantasizing about that. He just tried getting you back down to earth. Kushina grinned. Anko also grinned and said, we know. Yeah, it was just a warning for him. Kushina and Anko stood up and walked away, saying, well, you might wanna get going. Can't say everything is gonna be okay after that. The dango was paid for by Anko. Thanks again, Onimaru. No problem, Anko. Good luck, Kushina. In a matter of seconds, both of them left the store. Finding Naruto took 5 more minutes. The instant they caught up to him, he stiffened. But he did more than that. He exposed himself as a shadow clone by dispelling himself. Before they discovered the original, the chase continued for nearly an hour. Naruto remarked, "Took you long enough. Seriously, though. Have you calmed down enough for me to apologize?" Kushina simply grinned. "You didn't have to in the first place. That was basically a warning." Anko grinned. "Although, you're obviously good at concealing your location." Naruto grinned as well. Having to hide from the villagers on a semi-daily basis, you pick up a few things. Especially when ninja are mixed in there. Kushina and Anko exchanged glances and nodded. Anko grinned and said, "Well, you're good, we'll admit that. Now how about you try it again?" Naruto just vanished. Kushina said, "All right, let's go find him again." They went off in that direction after feeling a chakra spike, but before they could reach it, it vanished. It took 12 minutes for one of them to locate him this time, but it was just a shadow clone. All in all, they spent hours searching for the real him. It took 6 hours for someone to discover him, and it wasn't Anko or Kushina. Kurenai Yuhi, the genjutsu mistress, actually discovered a genjutsu while exploring the woods. She approached it and gave it a direct look. Nice use of genjutsu. However, even if it's faint, I can still detect it. Drop it, and come out. Naruto appeared with a glint. "You didn't find me, but instead found the genjutsu. Nice. Name's Naruto Uzumaki. What's yours?" Kurenai gave him a look. "Hiding from people? More like practicing stealth. I've been up there for hours." "You're the first to actually notice the genjutsu," Naruto replied. "Well, my name is Kurenai Yuhi. I'm a chunin in this village." "You don't look like you're a day older than 5 years old," Kurenai replied. Naruto gave his head a scratch. Her eyes widened as she said, "Well, I'm only 4 years old. I guess I'll turning 5 next month. Can someone who is 4 years old use an A-class genjutsu? This child is incredible." Kurenai questioned him, "How did you come by an A-class genjutsu?" "It's not really genjutsu, but it's like one. It's a kitsune illusion. I mask my entire being, scent, chakra, noise, everything. It's like I'm not even there," Naruto replied with a wide grin. "I'll buy." "Who are you keeping away from?" Naruto gripped his chin and remarked, "My mom, Kushina, and my Nae-san, Anko. I've stayed hidden this long. I wonder if they forgot about me." Following 10 seconds of contemplation, Kushina and Anko touched down nearby. Both of them were breathing heavily. Kushina asked, "How did you manage to stay hidden for 6 hours? Not even I'm that good." Naruto questioned, "Did you forget I have a Kane with me?" Kushina and Anko slapped their heads. "I'll take that as a yes. So, do you think I have stealth down?" Kurenai just gazed in wonder at him. She looked over at Kushina. Exactly how long has he been hiding? When Kurenai saw the blonde maelstrom, she taken. 6 hours, 32 minutes. You've had that thing up for that long? Naruto gave a shrug. "I just put it up and stayed put. You were the first to find it, but you didn't find me." Kurenai caught Kushina's attention. Kurenai nodded and said, "Kurenai? The genjutsu mistress? That would be me." I was surprised, to say the least. I didn't see him, I couldn't even sense him, but I did pick up a genjutsu. That's how he was there for so long. With a nervous smile, Naruto scratched the back of his head. Kushina and Anko exchanged glances and nodded. "Well, you've got stealth and hiding down. Not to mention genjutsu. Anyway, we should get going. We have trip tomorrow. We're leaving bright and early." After giving a nod, Naruto approached Kushina. "Okay, let's go home then. I gotta tell you a few things I found out while I was waiting." The Namikaze estate was reached. Naruto didn't know how to open it yet, so Kushina had to do it. Naruto had begun sharing with them the information he had learned from the discovered shadow clones. The juicy stuff took 10 minutes to pass. He was uncomfortable sharing some of the things he had heard. For something he believed to be simply sick, he did hear a vague plan. In order for Anko to prevent it while it was happening, he told her that part. He was shown to his room by Kushina, which was larger than usual. The following morning, he was prepared and ready to leave. Kakashi was at the gate, waiting. "You ready to go?" Naruto and Kushina both nodded. Indeed, Kushina arched an eyebrow. "I'm surprised you're on time, Kakashi." With a drop of perspiration, Kakashi remarked, "I can be on time when I need to be." Naruto said, "Well, let's get going." Kakashi and Kushina both nodded. An hour or so into their walk, Naruto had a question. Where are we going first? Actually, we'll be going around the elemental countries. We'll be avoiding Earth country though. Your father was not liked in that country. In fact, most of the ninja there feared your father, just like the villagers feared Akane. Kushina replied. Kakashi gave nod. His Hiraishin was the cause of that. Unfortunately, he never wrote it down anywhere, as far as I know. Kushina grinned. With a look of shock on his face, Kakashi said, actually, that's another reason we're heading out. He'll need to learn about seals, so he can use it. I know the full details of it. He may not have written it down, but I did. Only an Uzumaki can open it, and since my son and I are the only ones left, as far as I know, we are the only ones able to open it. Kakashi, you remember where Uzushiogakure was, do you not? Kakashi gave her a look. Yeah, why? Kakashi's eyes widened in surprise as Kushina said, I had it hidden there. That way only an Uzumaki could get to it, and if Naruto could find it, he could learn it, and use it. Since we're leaving the village, that's going to be one of our stops. Naruto observed the conversation with curiosity. Is it such a big deal? Kakashi gave him a look. The Hiraishin technique was what made your father the most dangerous ninja in Konoha's history. It's what gave him the nickname Yellow Flash. When you can actually learn it, there will be a few things you'll need to know about it. Until then, put it out of your mind. Seals are necessary for it to work, however. Kushina gave a nod. That's why, on this trip you won't just be focusing on taijutsu, genjutsu, and ninjutsu. You'll also be working on weapons training, and fuinjutsu. By the time we're done with this trip, you'll be above Chunin level. After giving a nod, Naruto continued to walk. Naruto had a difficult year ahead of him. 3 months have passed since Naruto, Kakashi, and Kushina departed Konoha. During his absence, Naruto has gained a lot of knowledge. Chakra control was the first thing taught to him. In other words, walking on water. After roughly a week, he mastered that. He then focused on developing ninjutsu and fuinjutsu. The basic academy jutsu was easily defeated by him. Kakashi has confirmed that his stealth was already comparable to Anbu. He was still young, but his pen-manship needed work. In roughly 3 weeks, his sealing skills were at the typical level for a member of the Uzumaki clan his age. The Rasengan and a few other non-elemental ninjutsu, the majority of which were B rank, were taught to him in addition to the academy jutsu. They actually made the decision to remain in a ninja village after traveling for roughly a month. They stayed at Kumogakure, Hidden Cloud Village, specifically. During their roughly week-long stay, they got to know the local Jinchuriki. Yugito Ni became a good friend of his. The Nibi no Bakuneko's Jinchuriki is Yugito, and Nibi shared some thoughts with Yugito about Akane. It goes without saying that they became friends quite rapidly. He also had a meeting with the Jinchuriki of the Eight Tails, Karabi. Even though Naruto didn't understand his raps, he ignored them. Nevertheless, they developed a close friendship. They then made stops at Sanagakure and Wind Country. Wondering what was going on, he discovered Gaara alone. In Gaara, he had made a friend who understood what it was like to be alone. After learning that wind was his primary element in Kumogakure, they remained there for a few more weeks. Knowing that both Gaara and he were Jinchuriki, he played with her. Gaara was glad he was there, and Naruto wasn't afraid of him. Naruto chose to bid Gaara farewell and explain the circumstances when he had to depart. After giving some advice and promising to get together again in the future, they departed. It pleased Gaara to meet Naruto. It indicated that he had a friend who would keep his word to Naruto, whether or not he was in the village. Shortly afterward, Gaara was attacked by his uncle, who ultimately killed him. After learning the truth, he realized that what he had been told that evening was untrue. He was aware that the only real friend he had was Naruto Uzumaki. He was prepared to make an effort to maintain his sanity until he saw Naruto again because they were both Jinchuriki. Naruto headed for the Land of Waves after departing Sanagakure. Our story continues since he was 5 years old at this point. Wave Country by boat. On a boat bound for Wave Country were Naruto, Kakashi, and Kushina. So, what kind of place do you think Wave Country is, Kakashi? Sensei? Replied Naruto. I'm not completely sure. I'll be honest, I've never been there myself, so all I know about it is from hearsay. Replied Kakashi. As a 5-year-old, Naruto was naturally curious about a wide range of topics. He was fortunate to be able to sit motionless for a while because he had been meditating much more. Actually, 7 hours. Although it wasn't always the case, he was frequently wired afterwards. A few things didn't seem right when the boat docked. They parted ways after entering a village. Naruto discovered a person being assaulted. He stepped aside and used his hand to stop the blade that was aiming for her. To the thug's surprise, he had chakra flowing through it. The man was terrified as he used his chakra sharpened hand to cut the blade in half. Get lost, if you know what's good for you. Probably to inform whoever they were pursuing, the thugs fled. He looked over at the girl he had just rescued. He extended his hand to her and said, "Hey, the name's Naruto Uzumaki. What's yours?" The woman said, "Tsunami. You're quite brave, aren't you?" Naruto gave a nod. "Well, I am training to become Hokage one day. I have a long way to go before that, though. After all, I am only 5 years old." Tsunami's eyes widened. "You're only 5? What are you doing out here alone?" she said. "Well, my mom and a Junin from Konohagakure are in the area. Still, are you okay? After all, he was trying to beat you up." Naruto responded. Tsunami gave a nod. "I think you should meet my family. Do you have any way to signal those two you told me about?" replied Tsunami. Naruto gave a nod. "Yeah, I do. I don't see why I would need to, though. I still have at least 3 hours before I have to head back to them. They know I can handle myself against a few thugs." Tsunami gave a nod. "Well, why don't we head back to my place? You could meet my son." Naruto grinned. "Why not? If I get caught up in playing with him, you might have to remind me to signal them." "Well, the house is this way." 5 minutes later, they arrived at a house. Despite being on guard, Naruto didn't display it. Tsunami gave him a look when they arrived at the house. "Don't hold back, come on in." Naruto hesitated before doing so. Naruto nodded and said, "You have a hard time trusting people, don't you?" "There are a select few that I trust, and those people I know full well I could trust." An elderly man entered. "Tsunami, who's the kid?" "Hi, father. This is Naruto." Regardless of his size or age, he took on a few thugs that were attacking me. He scared them off, after cutting one of their swords with his bare hand. Tsunade responded. The elderly man gave Naruto a smile. "I gotta say thanks, in case she didn't. What's your surname, anyway?" Naruto gave him a look. He didn't think he was cunning. "Uzumaki. I heard about a kid named Inari here. I take it he's upstairs?" Tazuna glanced at Tsunami, then at him. Tsunami shrugged her shoulders and asked, "How did he know that?" "That's an easy question for me to answer. I can sense chakra levels, and there's only one other person in this house, and they're upstairs. So I took a guess, and figured it was Inari," Naruto replied. Tazuna gave him a doubtful glance. He realized he was telling the truth. "Well then, Tsunami, why don't you get Inari down here? I'll sit with Naruto here, see if I can find out a few things about him." Tsunami left. "Well, Naruto, I'm glad you helped out my daughter, but why did you do so?" Naruto's expression hardened. "I hate rapists, bullies, and arrogance. The guys that attacked her were being one of them, and if I had to guess, they would have made it 2 of them before they were done. I stepped in because of personal interests. I didn't care who it was I was saving. I just didn't like the fact they thought they could do anything they wanted to. I turned them down a notch." Tazuna examined his countenance. His serious expression before speaking indicates that he meant what he said. Naruto nodded and said, "So, it wasn't because of her, but because of them? Okay then, how old are you?" "I'm only 5 years old. I'm on a training trip with my mother and a Junin from Konoha. That's all I'm saying on that. I'm not really supposed to signal them unless I get confronted by a rogue ninja, or 3 hours from now." Tazuna gave him a doubtful glance. "I know it seems unbelievable, but it's true. Being the way I was when I was younger didn't give me many grounds for anything. I decided to prove I wasn't what they thought I was. For that reason, I had to train my ninja skills at a much earlier age. In fact, I didn't even know who my mother was 4 months ago. I was 4, and trying to get away from a mob that was after me. Any normal person would call it quits, and let them kill you. I'm not normal. Not by a long shot. I didn't give in to them. I didn't let them kill me. In the end, I decided to prove them wrong, by becoming a ninja for that same village that despised me for something I had no control over." His story was starting to irritate Tazuna. "I wouldn't do anything to them, because that would only serve to prove that I am what they say I am. A demon. I am not a demon, so I intend to prove them wrong there. If I attacked everyone that tried to kill me, I would be what they say. I wouldn't attack them, and if you feel like going over there to do just that, I'll say this. Don't bother. Regardless of the fact they did all of that, I don't blame them. They didn't know the full story, so it was ignorance and fear driving them. I can't blame them for that. Plus, my mom took care of that little problem when she found out I was alive." Tazuna gave him an odd look. "Okay, So if that's everything you've been through so far, why bother to continue living there? Naruto gave him a direct look. I said it before, and I'll say it again. In order to prove them wrong, I have to do what most people wouldn't do. I have already made a lot of progress since then, and still have a ways to go. My ultimate goal for this is to become Hokage. Since I'm only 5, I can't even enter the academy yet, so this trip is the next best thing. As Tsunami entered carrying a young boy who was roughly a year younger than Naruto, Tazuna nodded. Hi there. I'm Inari, he smiled. Hi, I'm Naruto. Tazuna, sir, I guess we can talk later. I'm gonna play with Inari. Gotta have some fun, don't I? Tazuna laughed. Tsunami took a seat beside Tazuna. That kid is a ball of surprises. No one would think a 5-year-old could go through any of that, and still have the courage to keep going. His will is strong. Probably stronger than Kaisa's. Tsunami glanced at him. Tazuna simply shook his head and said, "You've got to be kidding me." Considering what he said, and his expression when he said it, I wouldn't be surprised if he did achieve his ultimate dream of being Hokage. I wonder how Kaisa would react to him, he continued. Someone entered through the front door at that precise moment. Tsunami turned to him and said, "Hey, honey. Another good catch today." "Hello. Someone helped me out with a few thugs. He's playing with Inari right now. Kaisa, you'd be surprised how powerful his will is. I'm not even sure a god can shift it," Tazuna stated to him. Kaisa's ear twitched as she glanced at him. Naruto turned his head slightly to his left and remarked, "You guys do realize I can hear you, right? And by the way, Tazuna, that's exactly what I was told before I even left the village." They all three gazed at him. Inari returned his glance, and they resumed their game. Tsunami approached Naruto, who was still playing with Inari, a few hours later. "Naruto, you did say 3 hours before you had to meet up with them, didn't you?" Naruto nodded after giving her a quick glance. As Tsunami opened a window, he closed his eyes and spiked his chakra, saying, "Thanks for reminding me. You might want to open a window." About 10 seconds later, 2 blurs appeared. The red-headed person said, "Naruto, why are you in someone else's house?" "It's alright, Mom. Ms. Tsunami let me in to play with Inari here. I've been here since I helped her out from some thugs," Naruto stated to her. Tsunami gave them a look. "So, you're Naruto's mother, huh? I expected something different, but you actually look better than I thought." "My name is Tsunami." She reached out her hand. After accepting it, Kushina trembled. Kakashi simply nodded and said, "Kushina. This is Kakashi." Tsunami inquired, "Does he ever lose that mask?" Kushina gave a headshake. "Never. Sometimes I wonder if that mask is a part of his face. He's had it on ever since I met him when he was 7, and a genin. He's 23 now. I don't think anyone but his parents and the doctors that helped deliver him have seen underneath that thing. You know why I keep it on, Kushina. As did Minato. Sensei. Still, I'm glad he found a friend in your son. We're on our way to Kurigakure tomorrow." Kakashi replied. Tsunami gave him a look. "Why not stay here for your stay in Wave Country? You'll need a good place to stay, and I'd be happy to have Naruto stay here. Inari's been having some fun with him." Naruto and Kushina gazed at her. "Please Mom." After glancing at Naruto, Kushina turned back to Tsunami. "Why not? It's been a while since we stayed in an actual house. We've either been in a tent, or an inn for 3 months. We could use a stay in an actual house. Did he tell you of his training?" Tsunami gave a nod. "He also told me and my father a few things about him. I'm surprised someone could go through everything he did, and still have the will to move on." Kushina gave Tsunami a smile. "I'm not. He inherited my will, and even strengthened it. I'd be surprised if a god could sway him. My husband said the same thing. His eyes simply ooze willpower and determination. Something my son somewhat lacks, unfortunately." Tsunami tilted his head slightly. A hand was placed on her shoulder by Kushina. "Don't feel bad, Tsunami. It's not the end of the world just yet. When that happens, my son would have been murdered before my eyes. That would mean the end of the world as you know it. Anyone that crossed my path would die. I didn't get the nickname Red Death for no reason, after all. My son knows not to piss me off, and has seen my rage in action. It's not a pretty sight. It never is." Naruto gave a nod. "She's right. She's one of the few people anyone would not want pissed off at them. I wouldn't suggest going for that, or even testing her limits on her temper, unless you have a death wish. That right there is the god. Damn truth." Kakashi nodded with agreement. Anyone who knows who she is, would be afraid to make her mad. Even the Sanin quake in their boots at her when she is pissed, said Kakashi. Tsunami gave her a look. Is all of this true? Kushina gave a nod. My son has been teaching me on this trip as well. I've gotten an even better grip on my anger ever since the trip started. Going after his life, though, still pisses me off instantly. Kushina was beaming with happiness. As Kakashi, Naruto, and Kushina followed her upstairs, Tsunami announced, "Well, I have no intention of harming the one who saved me. Come on, I'll show you to the guest room. It's not much, but I hope you like it. The bathroom is 2 doors down on the right, if you need to use it. My room is right next to it. If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask." Kushina gave a nod. By the way, would you like to eat dinner with us? I'm about to start cooking. To which Kushina replied, why not? Thanks. Tsunami said, you're welcome. And don't worry about it. Do you mind if I help? I wouldn't feel right if I didn't. I'd rather you not, because you're our guests, but if you can make some good dishes, I don't see the harm in it. Tsunami replied. Tsunami went downstairs with Kushina. In order for Naruto to work on creating seals, Kakashi and Naruto stayed upstairs. Alright, let's get to work. Naruto went upstairs to meditate after they finished eating. About half an hour into it, he discovered that Kaiza was in trouble. He woke up and opened his eyes. Kaiza seems to be in trouble. Kakashi gave him a look. Don't worry about him, he'll be fine. Naruto cast his mother's death glare at Kakashi. I said don't worry about him. He can take care of himself. The following day, a public execution took place. It was Kaiza who was at risk. Naruto was clearly enraged as he looked at him. At the front, Inari was staring straight at Kaiza. Naruto saw that Kaiza was speaking to Inari. Live your life, so you have no regrets. Protect everything you've got with both arms. When he finished speaking, Naruto nodded. He apparently lived up to those words until the very end. I believe it's time for me to visit Gato. 5 minutes later, Gato and roughly 10 guards were returning to his hiding place. All of them had cuts on their necks that were leaking blood in a split second. Naruto landed in front of Gato and said, Gato, you are a menace. Stop what you're doing for good. If I find out you don't, your ass is mine. Gato stumbled. Who are you? Naruto went poof and uttered, the Kitsune warrior. And if you don't heed my warning, you're executioner. Gato was clearly afraid. Kushina, Kakashi, and Naruto were bidding Tezuna's family farewell. When Naruto got the memories of his shadow clone, which he had sent to warn Gato, he was prepared to leave, and they were able to board the boat. I wish we would have had time to help them out, but we're on a schedule here. Kushina replied. Naruto grinned. Did you think I would leave without giving him a warning? Kakashi gave him a look. What do you mean? Naruto gave Kakashi a look. For the record, I'm blaming you for this, Kakashi sensei. If I went by my feelings last night, that execution could be avoided. Instead, I listened to you, and went back to meditation. Anyway, as we were getting on the boat, I sent a shadow clone to give him a warning. Took out all 10 guards, and told him about that little nickname Akane came up with. If he doesn't stop for good, his goose is cooked. His eyes widened as Kushina and Kakashi gazed at him. I don't appreciate the fact he went and killed someone who had their heart in the right place, and to make up for me not doing anything I gave him an ultimatum. That was it, and if I find out he didn't, I will find him, and I will kill him. Simple as that. Each of them gave a nod. A few days later, the land of water was reached by the group. As soon as they touched down, they learned that Kurigakure was experiencing a civil war. Factions from the bloodline opposing the Mizukage. The bloodline purges were the reason behind it. Kakashi, Kushina, and Naruto ultimately discovered the bloodline faction first. It was Kushina who spoke first. Relax, everyone. My name is Kushina Uzumaki, of the Uzumaki clan. I'm sure you know of our bloodline, my son and I would like to help. Naruto gave a nod. Kakashi took a step forward. I'm with them, so if you take them with you, I'm coming as well. One of them landed directly in front of them after hearing rumors of an Uzumaki in Konoha. I didn't think Konoha would have sent reinforcements without our leader. The one that landed in front of her caught Kushina's attention. We've been outside of the village for close to 4 months. We are not sure whether or not they would send reinforcements, but if I know Hiruzen, he won't be able to spare anyone. Luckily, we're here, so we can help. Kakashi gave him a look. Who might you be? My name is Ao. I am second in command here. The only one I take orders from is our leader, Mei Terumi. The man replied. Kushina stiffened. So, Mei is still alive, That saves me some trouble of trying to find her. Ao gave her a menacing glance. What do you mean by that? Mei Terumi is an old friend of mine from when I was living in Whirlpool Country. I haven't seen her since then. When I heard of the Bloodline Civil War, one figured she'd be siding with the Bloodline faction rather than the Mizukage. Kushina said with a cold voice and even breath. Ao gave them all three a look. He gestured to Naruto and asked, don't you think he is a little young? Naruto gave him the death glare that his mother had given him. I may be young, but if you're up against a Jinchuriki, you're gonna need another Jinchuriki. What better Jinchuriki than that of the Kyuubi no Kitsune? Ao cringed inwardly as she saw his face. He nodded, paying attention to what he had said. Does he know how to control the Kyuubi? Her real name is Akane Kitsune, and they are on good terms. In fact, they work together in a fight if they need to. Whether the cloak is there or not. Kushina continued. Aside from that, you have the Red Death and Copycat Ninja on your side. Even if you don't get reinforcements from village yourself, you have three powerful ninja here, even if one of them doesn't seem like it. Another person was approaching them. It was an auburn-haired woman. She had a seductive appearance. Mei. Sama, exclaimed Ao. Kushina smirked as he turned to face her. Mei gave Kushina a startled look. Kushina, my god, it's been so long since I last saw you. It sure has, Mei. This is my son, Naruto. However, we're not here for a pleasure cruise. Kushina replied. Mei glanced at Kushina and then back at him. How far along is he? He's only 5 years old, but being a Jinchuriki himself, he has a better shot at Yagura than even I do. Kushina replied. Mei turned to face Naruto again. I can't see how powerful he truly is. It's like he's hiding most of his chakra, and I can't even sense a Biju in him. Naruto decided to speak up at that time. That's because Akane doesn't come out, or even make herself known unless I need her help. Otherwise, it's as if she isn't even there. Mei gave that a nod, as though it made sense. Alright then, this would be a good test for you. Kushina, Kakashi, I would like to formally request your help, including Naruto's help for this. Naruto gave Mei a sly smile. Kushina and Kakashi both grinned at their sons. You didn't have to ask. What I heard the Mizukage was doing, I don't think is right, or even justified. I would have wanted to help out anyway. Kakashi remarked, well, you'd be surprised what he can do. If Akane being the Kyuubi is anything to go by, you know he's got more power in him than Yagura of the Three Tails. Experience is the only problem we're likely to have. Naruto gave a headshake. That's fine by me, it just gives me a greater challenge, and better merits if I win. Kushina gave Naruto a smile. That's my boy, always looking for a challenge. Mei turned to Ao and said, well then, only one thing left to do. Ao, lead these three to the command center. I'll be there shortly. Ao gave a nod. This way. 5 minutes later, around a table were Ao, Kushina, Naruto, Kakashi, Mei, and 2 other people. One of the unknowns said, Mei, Sama, do you think it's wise for a kid to be in here? Mei gave him a death glare fit for a Kushina. Mei turned her glare away from him and said, don't worry about that, Mei-san. I don't mind them making fun of my age, but if they insult Akane or my mother, they will have hell to pay. Mei said, alright, Ao, how are we on supplies? In a commanding manner. We are running low on supplies, and I'm not sure if our new arrivals have enough, replied Ao. Naruto gave him a look. We have enough for the 3 of us for about 2 months. That's about it. Storage ceiling does wonders for you. However, if you want some for a battalion, I'd suggest going for one of the areas along the river. Naruto was perusing the map. He indicated a town. This one. The way I see it right now, they don't have many in our path to this town, and not much on one side, so we can defend better from that one side. Mei gave him a look. You know, I was about to suggest Shiryu Village myself. Naruto gave her a look. When you've got a kitsune that's a few hundred years old, the Red Death, and Sharingan Kakashi teaching you battle tactics and strategy, you tend to pick up a few things. Ao gave him a look. How do you propose we take it then, Mei, Sama? Mei turned to face Naruto. Why don't we let him finish with this? Let's see what he managed to come up with. Naruto gave a nod. Everyone nodded when asked, you see this gorge? Something tells me that if we can lure the majority of their troops in there, we can use a few Dodenjutsu to make the walls of said gorge collapse on top of them. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but if we manage to pull this off, we can take the village with little problem. Kakashi, what do you think of this? Kakashi glanced at the map and then at him. Surprisingly, I agree, this type of strategy is out of the ordinary and borderline crazy. That makes it a good strategy to use here. They won't be expecting something like this. One question, what do we do if some of them don't follow the group? Naruto gave him a look. That's where two of us come in. After the majority of the forces go into the gorge, we will take care of any forces remaining in the village. Timing is everything. Our forces will be going through the opposite end, right here. He was pointing to one end of the gorge. The moment our forces get to the other end, we collapse the walls, and it falls on top of them, while myself and Kushina head into the village to take care of any survivors or stragglers. Everyone's eyes were on him. May raised the issue. It's bordering crazy and genius. Ao gave a nod. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with the kid. The only problem I have here is who will lead the forces. Kakashi gave Naruto a look. Naruto nodded and said, I take it that's where I'm at. Correct. Kakashi is the one to lead this, not me. He has more experience in leading, and the majority of your forces won't listen to a thing I say, meaning he is the best option. Given his reputation, they should listen to him a lot better than myself. The four rebels present looked at him in a fresh way. You know, he's got a point there. In fact, he planned it out, and knew full well that we wouldn't listen to him due to his inexperience, but as he said, they're more likely to listen to Kakashi, being as he has a lot more experience on the field of battle, and is older. He's good, I'll give him that. Ao replied. The others gave a nod. Naruto opened a mask and took out a scroll. Naruto, where did you get that mask? Akane made it, and put it in a seal from my mindscape. We found out if we seal something on my body in there, I'll get the same seal on my physical body, and can unseal it, and put it in a different seal. This mask is just one thing that she's made for me. I also used it for that little warning I gave Gato. Naruto replied. Kakashi and Kushina both nodded. The Kitsune warrior will make himself known here, said Naruto. The following morning, in line were 12 Junin, Kakashi, Kushina, and Naruto. Naruto was wearing his Kitsune mask. Kakashi took a step forward. As I'm sure you've been briefed about our plan, I'll make this quick. For the duration of this task, you are to follow my orders and no one else's. Any questions? A single one gazed at him. A sword was slashed at his neck as he said, yeah, I have a question. Who the hell are you? And what makes you think that? It was held by Naruto in his Kitsune mask. You should think twice before crossing him. He has a reputation himself. Ever hear of Sharingan Kakashi? That's him. The man trembled. Right, sorry, won't happen again. Kitsune returned to Kakashi, saying, good. Did you really have to do that? If I didn't, Kushina would have. You know that as well as I do. Kakashi gave nod. Move out. Kitsune was on all fours before the others, and everyone shunned out. Kakashi nodded as Kitsune stated, Kushina, I have already sent scouts into the entire area. I have the perfect entry point for us. Kakashi, this is where we branch off. How long until you are in position? Give us 5 minutes. Kushina can use telepathy, so she can let you know if we get there before that. Kitsune replied. Kitsune nodded and said, right. You're on your own from here on out. Kushina, let's go. Kushina and Kitsune moved to the left. They arrived in just 3 minutes. Kakashi, we are in position. Roger that. Kakashi instructed who was to go and pull them out and who was to use the jutsu to bring down the wall. A few jutsu were sent toward the village by the rebels. Both Kitsune and Kushina were concealed by a Kitsune illusion, just outside the village. As planned, they were followed by the main forces. Kitsune remarked, looks like it's working as we planned. Kushina gave a nod. Kushina, it's time. Head in. Kitsune, got it. Shadow clone jutsu. 20 Kitsune warriors emerged, and Kushina followed closely behind. They dispatched everyone who remained with ease. One man lost his head after being foolish enough to gaze out a door. Kitsune and Kushina were sitting on a heap of bodies by the time the others arrived in the village. As Kitsune put it, what took you so long, Kakashi? He questioned, are you sure that's all of them? Kushina raised his voice, you know we both can sense chakra. We'd know if someone else was here. Kakashi grinned, send a message to Mei, and tell them we succeeded without any losses. Kitsune remarked, no need. The shadow clone was created and dispelled by Kitsune. I don't think anyone else noticed, but I left a shadow clone back at the base. So if I do this, Kitsune said, she'll be able to get the message immediately. More effective than a messenger hawk, am I right? Kakashi gave him a look. Clever, Kitsune declared, I'm the Kitsune warrior. I have to be. Well then, I have a feeling she'll tell you what to do next. Kitsune stiffened. She just did. The three of us are wanted back at base. She'll be sending more units to properly capture this village. Kitsune began to shiver. Let's get going. After Kushina and Kakashi nodded, the three of them left. Kitsune spoke up after they had left the village and were within earshot. Kakashi, I know you noticed me tense a second time. That was another shadow clone I made. I managed to get a few things out of one of the enemies, then beheaded them. I basically have the entire movement for Yagura's forces for the next week and a half. Most of it isn't good. Kakashi gave him a look. Kitsune explained everything, saying, fill us in. That's all I could get out of him. However, now we can do a lot better, being as he doesn't know that we have this information. Meaning we can surprise him with it. Kakashi and Kushina both nodded. Kitsune nodded and asked, you already coming up with a plan? At least I'm trying to. I'd need a map to be sure. They arrived at the base after 3 more minutes. Mei was directly in front of Kitsune, Kushina, and Kakashi. I gotta say, that was some good work there. No casualties on our end and the entire opposing force was eliminated. I'm impressed, to say the least. Kitsune gave her a look. How would you like to know of Yagura's movements for the next week and a half? Mei's gaze widened. How did you get that kind of information? Kitsune wore a mask and grinned. I have my ways. In any case, I have a few plans ready. I just need to make sure the terrain will work in our favor before I choose one. Kakashi, why don't you fill her in on what I found out? Kakashi nodded as Naruto turned to the map. Naruto was looking closely at the map as Kakashi went over everything. He was considering his options, potential tactics, and any potential edge he could come up with. Kakashi and Naruto both finished at the same time. We should recall our forces back to this position, then. Kitsune remarked, no need. Everyone else went up to the map. I have another plan to counter it because doing that will tip him off that we know what he's planning. As you just heard, Yagura is going to attack here, here, here and here, in order to draw our forces from the main base. However, their main forces will be heading straight for us, while most of our forces are out there. Mei gave a nod, and, you see this valley, the forests to the side, that will make for the perfect counter-strike. There's only one problem I can think of, and that's Yagura. Since Yagura himself will be leading the main force, to eliminate us, that is the only thing I can't guarantee. It's for this reason, I will face him alone. Me and Yagura will face off during this plan, and no one is to interfere, no matter how bleak it gets for me. Kitsune continued. Mei noted, Kushina, you don't seem to like this plan. I don't like the fact that my own son is going up against a cage. I know he's a Jinchuriki, and so is the cage, but you can tell I'm still worried. Kushina replied. Kitsune said, Kushina, there is nothing for you to worry about. Then his tone changed. We are both coming up with a few counter-strategies in order to combat Yagura, as he gets further into his tailed beast state. His voice changed, and Kushina and Kakashi noticed. When Kushina said, Naruto. As I said, we are working on a strategy. And by the way, I am working on a few things myself at the same time, Kushina. And it's Akane, Kitsune replied. However, with the mask on, we are known as Kitsune Warrior. Remember that. Kushina gave Kitsune her trademark death glare. That won't work on me, Kushina. Now let me explain the plan we came up with for the attack. Kitsune had given a detailed explanation of the plan. And that's how it works. The only problem we have will be Yagura himself, and the Sanbi no Genbu. However, that is something we will take care of ourselves. We shall be meditating until then, and only move around when we need to eat. Kushina gave a nod. That is actually a lot better than I thought. It's even crazier than your last plan, and thus, more effective. You both really have a flair for unpredictability. That's who we are, it's what we do. Kakashi, Kushina, the two of you will be leading the rest of them. Be prepared for an onslaught, though. We are likely to be outnumbered 4-1. Kushina and Kakashi both nodded. Mei grinned. You know, Kushina, I'm beginning to like the way your son thinks. Kitsune's voice returned to its usual tone. Thank you very much, but I can't take all the credit. We both handled it, together. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have more planning to do alongside Akane. Kitsune left the room after everyone nodded. 7 days later. The whole plan was prepared. The battlefield is prepared. There was Kitsune Warrior. The whole force behind him, including Yagura, was marching directly at him. Kitsune gave them a stop signal. Yagura gave him a look. So, who are you? Why did you ask us to stop? Kitsune began by saying, as to who I am the Kitsune Warrior. As for stopping you, I want you to stop the bloodline civil war, and live in peace with them. His whole force laughed when Yagura laughed. You really expect me to live with that trash after 2 years of fighting? Kitsune questioned, is that your final answer? What, do you want an invitation? Of course it is, you dickwad. Yagura screamed. Kitsune said, then may the Shinigami have mercy on your soul, and his left hand began to glow. He slammed his hand on the floor and said, because you will have none from me. Summoning Jutsu, the beast within. Yagura's eyes widened as Kitsune, perched atop a giant fox with 9 tails, remarked, now, I really want to say a witty one-liner, so I guess this will do. Art as a bang. The entire opposing force was buried beneath a few hundred explosions. Yagura was still a little taken aback by what he saw. Kyuubi no Yoko. Why don't you release Sanbi, Yagura? Surely you know you can't defeat me on your own. Akane replied. Without hesitation, Yagura formed the Sanbi no Genbu. The enormous turtle roared, you honestly think you can win against me, Akane? The fact that my container is on my head, and brought me out for something like this, means we're not kidding around, Sancho. Besides, we both can see the genjutsu placed on you. Akane said, and Kitsune nodded. Sanbi gave them both a look. Oh really, you think someone else is controlling me? Don't make me laugh.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.